Eagle 98.1 Game Day is on.
Presented by Super Chevy. See your Super Chevy dealers of Baton Rouge.
This is LSU football.
Throws on the run, wobbly pass, grabbed at the 45-yard line, taking it in, Brian Thomas, 15, 10, 5, they'll have to follow him on Instagram, they will not catch him, touchdown, Fighting Tigers. Daniels looking to throw towards the end zone. Neighbors has it at the 3. Bounces into the end zone. Touchdown, Fighting Tigers.
LSU football on Eagle 98.1, the flagship home of the Tigers. Tonight, from Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa, it's the LSU Tigers and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now,
Here's Charles Hannegriff and Matt Musso.
Burbank at Lee. Welcome to Eagle 98.1 Game Day as we get you ready for the kickoff of tonight's game between the LSU Tigers and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Alabama comes in with a record of 7-1, 5-0 in the Southeastern Conference, and ranked number 8 in the nation by the College Football Playoff poll. 2 weeks ago, the Tide beat Tennessee 34-20 to extend their winning streak to 6 in a row following a loss to Texas back in the early part of September. LSU enters today's game with a record of 6-2, 4-1 in the Southeastern Conference, and the Tigers have won 3 in a row since losing at Ole Miss. Their most recent game 2 weeks ago, a 62-0 shutout of Army at home. The stakes of this game could not be any bigger. The ramifications of the outcome today will be felt throughout college football. The winner of today's game will put themselves right at the forefront of the Southeastern Conference's Western Division race. Therefore, a berth in Atlanta very, very much in play today. Of course, Ole Miss will figure into that conversation as well. But if you get to Atlanta and you can play for a Southeastern Conference championship and possibly win a Southeastern Conference championship, then you are right in the middle of the playoff discussion, and this affects, of course, everybody that is in college football. For one specific player, LSU quarterback Jaden Daniels, the Heisman Trophy voters will be watching today, and I wonder if maybe this is a little bit too much pressure on the young man. It's an awful lot to put on his shoulders. For LSU to win today, they'll have to overcome multiple injuries on their defensive front and in their defensive secondary. For Daniels, the pressure to score will be there from the very opening kickoff all the way until the clock hits 0 today. So for LSU, who won this game in compelling fashion a year ago with a great play by Daniels in the overtime to get it to the 2-point conversion and then to complete the ball to Mason Taylor to win it in one of the most epic games we've ever seen in Tiger Stadium. For Alabama, this season has been a little bit different by Nick Saban's standards. Shaky out of the gate. The 10-point loss to Texas, the first double-digit loss at home for Saban since his very first year in Tuscaloosa. A quarterback change and then another quarterback change. But in recent games, the Tide has sort of found their form, playing better defensively. And Jalen Milroe, who struggled early, went through the benching and has come back, is now number 2 in the nation in yards per attempt, behind, of course, the quarterback that will be on the other side today. No, Alabama may not have the amount of talent that they usually have. They don't look like a classic Saban team. They have problems running the football. They have problems defending the pass. But they're still 7-1. They're still right there in the thick of things for the college football playoff in the West and, well, pretty much everything else. And the fact that this game is in Tuscaloosa, of course, adds to at Alabama's advantage. Musso, this series has produced some of the most epic games. Last year was certainly one of them. They always mean something, whether they mean something to both teams equally or one team more than the other. They always mean something. There's always star players. Keep the rosters today. Go back 5 years. I said this on the pregame show in 2019. Keep the rosters. Go back 5 years from now and tell me who's excelling in the NFL. You'd pretty much have the whole doggone sheet from 4 years ago. Keep this one too. Maybe not as many as that game, but certainly a lot. Ton of talent on the field. 500-plus wins for the two coaches combined. Ranked teams, playoff, high. What else you want, man? What else do you want?
I mean, Andy, the best way to sum up what you've gone through this whole monologue here is the more things change, the more they stay the same. No, it's not a typical Alabama Nick Saban team, but here they are. LSU's got the #1 offense in the country this year. How many years, just 5 years ago, we would have been begging for that, but here we are. This is the game we wait for all year, every year, no matter what. Even when it doesn't look like it's going to be that important at the beginning, when LSU's got 2 losses in September and Alabama's benched their quarterback. Here they are for the West, a chance to go to Atlanta and potentially more, including Heisman and playoff. The more things change, the more they stay the same with LSU and Alabama, and it's one of the things that makes it so great.
We got some real good games going on in college football. This is one of those Saturdays, it looks like, from top to bottom. We got Kansas State and Texas, A&M and Ole Miss, Notre Dame and Clemson, Arkansas and Florida that we're watching right now. All of these games going to fourth quarter dog fights. It's going to be fun, y'all. We're glad that you're with us. From Rouse's, Burbank and Lee, this is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Otter Locks.
Presented by Excel. For over 30 years, excellence in providing construction engineering and fabrication services. For information, visit us at excelusa.com.
Now, here's Jimmy Ott.
All right, we bring in Jimmy Ott as we are. The LeBear's countdown to kickoff just a little under 5 hours from right now. We bring in Jimmy to get you caught up on what's going on in the day in college football and what is still to come. Jimmy, good afternoon. How are you?
What's up, Charlie? Boy, got a great atmosphere down here at the Beau Rivage today, man. It's great.
I'll bet it is. All right, the first thing I got to ask you about is Kansas State, because they have just come from way back. Now, 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to get even with Texas. What's going on in Austin? Texas was in control of this game.
Well, that's it. Texas can only beat themselves. They're so much the best, but back-to-back turnovers in a matter of like 3 plays, and Kansas State has cashed them both in. One an interception that they returned and then recovered their own fumble at about the Texas 10, and then Texas fumble about their own 35. Will Howard, but a 30-yard TD strike, botched extra point. But yeah, we're all tied up, and it's just strictly off of Texas miscues because they have been much the best today.
All right, let's go to Oxford, where Ole Miss was really in control of this game, up 14-0, lining up for a field goal, a 40-yard field goal. They got it blocked, and A&M ran it back for a touchdown to cut the lead in half. Now, Ole Miss has led throughout in this thing, but, Jimmy, I get the impression, and they're up by 10 now early in the fourth quarter, but I get the impression that play was what really has kind of kept Texas A&M in this thing. Ole Miss was ready to run away and hide.
Without a doubt. I mean, They scored to go up 21-0 before the blocked field goal, and I didn't catch the flag, but it was was kind of after the play. Ole Miss completely dominating in this game, and but that's a true 14-point swing. And, instead of 21-0, it's 21-7, so 14-point difference right now. It looks a lot different, 31-21 instead of say 38-14, and that's where we are as. Texas A&M gets an interference call, so they have a first and goal at the Ole Miss 2, trying to make this a 3-point game with 12.5 minutes to go. But yes, both of those games are kind of the same. Just some big plays. The block scoop and score for Texas A&M, 14-point swing and 14 points off of 2 Texas turnovers, back-to-back turnovers, are completely changed these games where Texas and Ole Miss completely in charge at home. Now they're both fighting for their lives.
Florida was down 14-0 before they looked up good. Arkansas got a quick touchdown drive, and then a fumble return for a touchdown. Things have kind of evened out since then. Arkansas lining up right now for what would be a tie-in field goal. We're early in the fourth quarter in Gainesville.
Yeah, remind me of 2011 LSU-Arkansas game. Arkansas jumped on top 7, then they got a defensive score to go up 14-0 before Honey Badger and crew turned it up a notch in Baton Rouge that day because Arkansas took the opening kickoff with the new interim offense coordinator and went right down the field. I mean, very little resistance from the Florida defense as they went right down the field, and it was 7-0. And then the first play from scrimmage from Florida, they stripped the wide receiver. They roll it into another touchdown. So that made it 14-0. Since then, Charlie, Florida's been the better team. Pearsall's having a big day. Mertz, again, is having a very good day for Florida. Maybe the most improved quarterback in all of college football. But Florida in Arkansas just settled for a short field goal to drive bogged in the red zone. So we're all tied up now, 23 apiece. But, yeah, some big plays left and right, but Florida has settled down nicely after falling behind 14-7.
And A&M has scored a touchdown to make it now 31-28 Ole Miss with a little over 12 minutes to go there. At Clemson, South Carolina, Clemson has been in control of this game for most of the way, Jimmy, but they have never been able to completely put Notre Dame out. They got a turnover for a touchdown in the first half. They got another turnover that resulted in a field goal. They were up 24-9 at the half, but Notre Dame is close to within 8 points. They've got the ball back, 7.5 minutes to go, but they're deep in their own territory.
Yeah, and your fourth down and about 6 to go from about 4 to go at the Notre Dame 40. It was they flexed into a quick kick formation and downed it inside the 5-yard line. So they get a stop. They exchange punts again. They punt it inside the 10-yard. So Clemson's doing a nice job of playing field position right now and keeping Notre Dame offense pinned back up at their own goal line. Hartman has a nice touchdown run for about 25. But a couple of interceptions early in the first half, including the one you talked about to the linebacker, who's pretty high on the draft boards, who went back, took it for about a 30-yard pick six. That was the one thing. He had a lot of touchdown passes, very productive yards in Wake Forest, but he just threw a pretty good amount of interceptions as well. That's kind of been that's something was concerned for Hartman this year, and it's hurt Notre Dame today.
I don't know if it's the call into the radio show or the record or whatever, but Clemson looked like they were playing with a chip on their shoulder today. The 4 losses, where they just had, whatever problems in those games. The defense has usually played pretty well. Looks like they're playing with a lot of heart today.
Notre Dame still carries a big stick. Remember, this is a revenge game for them last year as well. They got handled pretty easily up at South Bend. So, hey, if you're looking for, source of motivation, Dabo's done a pretty good job over the years of when they kind of, knocked out of the national picture, 10-win seasons and things like that, conference championships. But, they're playing inspired football today. And then, look, when a team that's kind of been down and dumped, if you put them away early, it's one thing. But if things go their way early, Clemson had, got off to a good start. They're playing inspired football today.
All right, 2:30 window. Missouri is at Georgia. Bulldogs are a 15-point choice, what I'm showing right now. Missouri's only loss is to LSU. Jimmy, Georgia's only covered 2 games this year, the games where they really kind of had their attention focused on the game when Kentucky came in, and then the cocktail party in Florida. Everything else they've kind of just sludged through. Missouri, ranked 12th in the country, should have their attention today.
You would think so because, boy, when it does, they're a different team. The team that played Kentucky or Florida or the teams that, sleptwalk against, Auburn and South Carolina. Completely different teams. And this is what you have in a back-to-back defending champion where they saw their schedule. They saw how they lost Oklahoma. And it's just a case where, when are they going to have the attention, And so that ranking, that should be enough. The top 15 ranking for Missouri coming in, only 1 loss, a very tight loss to LSU. So, yeah, and also, Charlie, last year in Columbia, that's where they won their national championship last year. So, down double digits in the fourth quarter before 2 touchdown drives. So, no, a lot of things contribute to. You would think now that they would be ready to play today against Missouri.
Otter, Bedlam for the final time here at 2:30 in Stillwater. Speaking of locked in, I'd imagine both of these teams would be for this one. Oklahoma State, maybe more the motivation factor has to be huge for them, but they're hot, 4 straight, and Oklahoma coming off the upset loss to Kansas. But the Cowboys, man, 5.5-point dogs at home.
Ollie Garner, baby. Ollie is, after a very pedestrian first few games, his rushing and receiving total the last 3 games is like 285, 290, 285, just under 300, 3 games in a row. They're riding him. He's easy to find. He's number 0, and he's going to be carrying. Mullet, man, 4 years as a player, 10 years as an assistant, 19 more as a head coach. Never had 17 straight seasons, and this one never had a straight winning seasons after his first was a losing season in Stillwater. But, man, I know he wants a piece of Oklahoma, but Oklahoma has his number. So this is a buy low spot maybe on Oklahoma, but all kinds of inspiration for Oklahoma State for the last Bedlam series for the foreseeable future. Gundy has held no punches on taking his shots at Oklahoma, but I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one because they've had chances where they've been the better team or been, expected to win. And he's had a rough go of it against Oklahoma. This one means a lot to Oklahoma State. Boone Pickens Stadium will be rocking today. They're catching 6 at home.
All right, one more before we get to LSU-Alabama tonight at the Coliseum, Washington and USC. Washington, earlier in the season, you could have made a case that they looked as good as anybody. The last 2 weeks, not so much, but they've survived. USC, that defense is as bad as anybody's, but the offense can get going. They won 50-49 last week. Washington, a 3-point favorite on the road tonight.
Flag football is a new Olympic sport. I heard the Olympic sports be scouting this game for players. So, this is a joke with these guys. How can you put your money on USC in knowing that they're going to just have these half-ass type of attempts at tackling? How can you put your – and then Washington as 4 touchdown favorites back-to-back weeks. It's been life or death. Lucky they get the 85-yard or 95-yard pick 6 after Arizona State in the Arizona State game at home. Stanford goes up and down the field. They're in a game in the fourth quarter there. So, I think this is a stay-away spot because focus on the LSU-Bama game, man. Just put this one on the side. Leave this one to the flag football scouts. It's like intramural football, Charlie, all over again at the parade ground.
All right, let's get to the one that really matters, LSU and Alabama. You had some interesting numbers yesterday, what this point spread has done, that Nick Saban as at home has never been this short of a favorite going back to his first year at Alabama, except for that first year. So even LSU's great team in 19 was a bigger underdog than this. The 11 team was a bigger underdog than this. So this is a little bit unprecedented. LSU's got way more than just a puncher's chance in this ball game. Alabama right now is a 3-point favorite.
Yeah, and don't forget that that Cam Newton team, 11-0 Cam Newton team, was getting more points than this as well. And it was the respected money, the professional bettors in Las Vegas that saw this thing open up 5.5 and bet it down. And even got overnight, Thursday night, Friday morning, for a little bit at Bet Rivers at 2.5. It quickly got that up to 3. I saw some 3.5 so pop up a little bit as the public money. And doesn't it seem like they're baiting you into Alabama money with this point spread tonight? So historic numbers. You can't. We're not going to hold Saban to that first year they inherited. That roster lost a bunch of games and went to the Independence Bowl, lost to UL Monroe along the way. But then when they got Julio Jones and Ingram the next year, and they opened up with that upset win against Clemson in the first game in Atlanta, boom! Then next thing you know, they're off the number 1 in the country, not defeated coming into this game in Baton Rouge. So historic proportions, people that bet narrative. This is the pros versus Joes game. I mean, all the pros are in LSU. Plus the points, and all the casual bettors, the recreational bettors are on Alabama at a historically buy low spot at this -3. Tough one, Charlie. Should be. I'm expecting a shootout. I know the number is high, but we're looking at 12 straight overs now for LSU dating back to last year. Every game has gone over. I think this is going over as well.
All right, Jimmy, who's bringing us auto locks?
All right, our friends over at Excel, for construction, maintenance, turnarounds, fabrications, disaster recovery, project management. Excel handles it all. Avoid the stress of coordinating multiple contractors. For more information, go to excelusa.com.
All right, Jimmy, we'll see you tomorrow morning for Football Sunday down in Biloxi. Hey, look, they're doing me a favor. They're turning the clock back tonight. I'm going to get an extra hour. So I'll try to see you there tomorrow morning with an extra hour's worth of sleep, more than what I was counting on.
That's by design, Charlie.
Right.
Anything we can do to help you out.
I appreciate that. Thanks for the effort. All right, Jimmy, we'll talk to you tomorrow morning. All right, A&M with the football back down 3. 31-28, 8 minutes to go. This drive is now extended into Ole Miss territory just inside the 40-yard line. Talking to Gordy Rush in Tuscaloosa when we come back from Rouse's Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
It was a humid day. Barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Some kind of hold on me, like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206
98.1. 98.1 Game Day, Skull Session, Defense. Presented by Edward Jones, making sense of investments. Now here's Charles Hanegraaff, and from the LSU Sports Radio Network, Gordy Rush.
And we go out to Tuscaloosa. Our LeBear's countdown to kick off about 4 hours and 35 minutes. Gordy, good afternoon.
Hey, Charlie. Good afternoon.
All right, we start with the LSU offense. I don't know how much better they could possibly play through 8 games this season, and certainly through the last 4. So my first question is, Nick Saban's got all this film. He's got all this information. What's he going to show LSU different that they haven't seen on film before?
I don't think there's anything that they're going to see different. I mean, the LSU's seen everything. I mean, you see every standard defense. You've seen double teams at Malik Neighbors. You've seen brackets or double teams at Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. on the same play. I don't know that you can show anything different. I think you kind of want to make them guess a little bit or do things out of different looks. But at this point, I don't think there's going to be much of a surprise for anything out of Alabama that LSU hasn't seen.
And a lot of times the games like this come down to what you can do with your second pitch. We know LSU is going to be able to throw the football. We expect there to be some big plays. But how well will they be able to run the football? We think of Alabama usually in terms of great rush defenses. This year's is good, but it's not one of Saban's better ones. They're 4th in the SEC in rush defense. Logan Diggs, to me, is a huge, huge part of this game today and to give LSU that offensive balance.
Yeah, I think getting Diggs going is big, and also an extension of that is if you get Diggs going, then it opens up the opportunity for Daniels to run, which I think this may be a big game for Jane running last year. For Jane running. Last year he had a big rushing game. And the reason I say that, Charlie, is we know that Alabama does like to play their share of man-to-man, man-free. And if they're going to come and get aggressive with LSU wide receivers, that means that the secondary, they're going to have their back turned to the football, and it's going to open up opportunities for Daniels. I think it really sets up well. So, yeah, I think LSU getting into a rhythm early and getting the running game established early is a huge key tonight.
We know that Nick Saban knows more exotic blitzes than maybe anybody in the game. We used to go through all the different things. He would name them. But you run a risk if you blitz this particular quarterback, Gordy. So how much do you expect Alabama to bring pressure on Daniels?
I think they're going to bring some. There's no question. I mean, they've got to be able to throw off the timing of LSU's passing game. I think they're limited in what they can do just by by what they're going to face out of LSU offensively. LSU's going to spread the football field. We know where you're going to see the 3 wide receivers. They're going to take Mason Taylor and move him a lot of places, and they don't mind putting Logan Diggs out in space and going empty. And when they do that, you have to spread the football field, Charlie. and it just eliminates a lot of what you can do. And that's the great thing about this LSU offense. It really dictates a lot of things to you defensively. But no question, I think that's been the calling card of Nick Saban's defenses. They've been aggressive. They've been able to get pressure. They're going to go back and look at the Florida State game and figure out how can we get some pressure the way Florida State did. And then one thing that Nick Saban's defensive backs always do, they play great bump and run coverage. LSU hasn't seen stuff at the line of scrimmage like they'll see against Alabama. DBs playing this sort of technique. They're going to have to beat them at the line of scrimmage.
Gordy, you've been in that stadium for some of the biggest matchups. In 19, everything was on the line. In 11, everything was on the line. And there's so much on the line tonight. I wonder about, the mental toll that this takes on Jaden Daniels. He's been as cool as you can be. He's handled everything fantastic. But at some point, it's going to dawn on him that, hey, I got to carry this group tonight. We can't win if we score 20 points. Oh, by the way, the Heisman Trophy may be on the line tonight as well, or certainly, a big part of his candidacy is tonight. I wonder how you think he's going to handle all of this, because he's been superb so far.
Yeah, he's been superb the whole way through. He's been really a cool cat. And you're right. I mean, everything is riding on this football game tonight, everything that you mentioned, and then some. Look, I think the X factor to me is how much better is LSU's defense? And I've been bullish on that because they have found a 4-3. They have found a position for Harold Perkins Jr. I think in doing so, they've cleaned up a lot of the mistakes and just busted coverages, busted responsibilities they showed in the first 4 to 5 football games. I think they're better. The question is, we know they're going to start they're going to have one freshman on the football field at corner, probably 2 freshmen on the football field when they go nickel, and probably 3 freshmen on the football field when they go dime. And how are they going to hold up at Bryant-Denny Stadium in this game of this magnitude?
Good. I'm going to ask you all those things when we come back from the break. Flip sides of the ball. We're here at Rouse's. Shop early and stock up for the holidays. Price is good. Wednesday to Wednesday, the weekly ad prices run Wednesday to Wednesday, so there's twice as many items on sale every Wednesday here at Rouse's. So plan your shopping accordingly. You know, a hump day edition of your shopping here at Rouse's. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day, Skull Session, Defense. Presented by Edward Jones, making sense of investments. Now here's Charles Hannegriff, and from the LSU Sports Radio Network, Gordy Rush.
Our Bears countdown to kickoff, 4 hours and 25 minutes away. Gordy, you did a wonderful job of describing all those people that are going to be out, a slew of defensive personnel, particularly in the secondary. Okay, this isn't like hiding a bad glove at first base. There's nowhere to hide when Alabama starts throwing the ball down the field. So what does this secondary look like right now? Who's healthy, and what positions are they going to be put in today?
Well, I think the safeties are set, and then Ryan obviously is a cornerback. What was interesting when Alexander went down, Hughes came in and they put him at the field corner. I had to pull my flip chart out. Usually I only keep my flip chart out for the opposing team. I was like, who the hell's 29 for LSU?
Right.
To go back and look. And so anyway, yeah, it was Hughes, and Stamps was in street clothes, and then there's Toviano. And so, I mean, and then there's Welch. So there's those four people. You know, my gut tells me it's either Stamps or Toviano, probably the start. And then when you go nickel, it makes sense that Ryan plays the nickel, and then potentially two corners, or, you know, two of them are in there at freshman. And we all know Yates has come in on the dime package as a safety. I mean, it is what it is, Charles. As good as you feel the way that LSU's front seven have played since they've gone so 4-3, you know, these guys got to show up in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. What does that look like?
And what does Harold Perkins look like? What his role as the nickel Sam, or whatever you want to call it, where does he fit into this mix?
Yeah, you know, I think it's going to be interesting to watch him tonight and what role that he plays. And he's looked really, really comfortable playing that Sam Will, playing off the line of scrimmage, and playing in coverage and space and breaking up and all that stuff. And so I think you have two other options that you can talk about with him. Is do you play him in some sort of spy role with Milroe? And you know, I heard you 2 weeks ago with Dick Dixon on the postgame show with you know, he talked about that Milroe hasn't really run the ball. I think it was 19 yards or 12 yards against A&M, a negative 19 against Arkansas, and maybe 32 against Tennessee. And so they've what they've done with Milroe is said, hey, they're taking a lot of the guesswork out. Basically, you're throwing the one receiver, and if that receiver's not there, pull it down and run. I mean, that's what it's amount to. So, I mean, knowing that a little bit, I think that we've seen Perkins play the Sam nickel role and stay mostly in space. I think we might see him spy a little bit. I think we might see him bring a little bit of pressure tonight. I think I expect a little bit something different out of Perkins tonight.
Speaking of Milroe and running, he hasn't run very much in the last 4 games, but it doesn't mean he can't. Going back to the Ole Miss game, which was a month ago, that's his highest rushing total of the season for number of attempts. He ran the ball 16 times in that game, and even when you take the sacks out, it was still 12. Gordy, Alabama's best opportunity to shorten this game for their defense might be to run Jalen Milroe, because just because they haven't doesn't mean that they can't.
Oh, I know. There's no doubt. I mean, you talk about what's got to be Tommy Rees's game plan tonight is, you know, I just described with Jalen Milroe that what they've done with him. They've done a great job of simplifying it and trying to make it, I don't want to say dumb it down, but I mean, you're going to throw this guy or you're going to run. I mean, then you're talking about an offense where guys pressing for the Heisman is seeing the field better than anybody in college football, and as dynamic as Jane Daniels is, I don't want to be in a shootout tonight. I've got to run the football. I've got to sit Daniels over that on the sideline. And so, yeah, I'm with you. I think Milroe, Milroe's going to try and run a nice bit tonight, and they'd love to get him, above 50 to 75 yards tonight and try to win that time of possession battle.
I'm glad you brought up Reese because I want to talk about him. He was a quarterback for Brian Kelly at Notre Dame. He was an assistant coach for Brian Kelly at Notre Dame. Probably an eyelash away from joining him here at LSU, depending on how you believe that whole thing went down, but he stayed at Notre Dame for the time being. Like somebody that you play poker against every day, and I know a little something about that. Everybody knows everybody. We know all the tricks. We know everything that's in your arsenal. How does this chess match play out between Reese and Kelly?
Well, I mean, it's house. And Reese, but I mean, I'm with you, Kelly. What I've seen, he spent a lot of time on the defensive side of the football at practice when I watched there. Again, going back to what you got with Reese, he's kind of playing with one arm tied behind his back with how limited Milroe is. And I think he's done a great job. You go back and you look at the Ole Miss game where Milroe really, really struggled right after the South Florida game. And they brought him a long way. I mean, he was much better against Tennessee, and he's made some good throws. They've done a great job with some double moves and getting some vertical balls over the top. I think the question is, what has Matt House and LSU cooked up for this football game? Because they know that's what this Alabama offense is. Good offensive line, excellent running backs, very good running backs, and a quarterback that's got some limitations, that's made some football plays. What is it that LSU's going to do differently to scheme against Alabama with some of his limitations?
Gordy, with the injury to Mekhi Wingo, I mean, look, he's obviously been their best defensive lineman this season. With them being more comfortable in the 4-3, does that give them maybe a little – is it easier maybe to make up for his absence?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of things. One, if somebody makes a mistake at the defensive tackle, you got two layers behind it, the linebackers and defensive backs. And you bring up the Alexander injury, you don't have anybody behind you at cornerback. And they've got numbers. Jefferson's played well. Mason Smith's played well. You've got some numbers down there. I think you're fine up there with the numbers you can run. Would you like to have him? Absolutely. It's not as big a loss to me as Alexander is, because Alexander was playing good football.
All right, Gordy, have a good call and a safe trip back. We're looking forward to this one, obviously. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week when Tigers play Florida.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. And speaking of the Florida Gators, they have just surrendered the lead. Arkansas leads now 30-26, about 4.5 minutes to go in regulation in that one. Personally, I think Florida ought to be docked points today just for these uniforms that they have put out there. These black, orange, and blue things that are. Hey, look, man, I don't play fashion police. Hunt Palmer's in charge of that for us. He does uniform stuff. Listen, I love the military salute, but
yes, but wear your colors.
That's not a good look. All right, Ole Miss on the 1-yard line right now, trailing by 4. Minute 43 to go in Oxford, and A&M leading it 35-31. We're here at Rouse's. Stop by for all of your game day stuff with Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com. We got 3 home games coming up here in the next 3 weeks. So if you're tailgating, jambalayas, red beans, and hey, gumbo, getting a little bit cooler right now. Make it with Supreme Rice. From down in Crowley, Louisiana, southwest Louisiana, since the 1930s, Supreme Rice has produced a wonderful product, and you're supporting our Louisiana farmers. So much so that they have joined the Climate Smart program. The Climate Smart program, reducing emissions and water conservation, preserving things for future generations of Louisiana farmers. You're going to save money with Supreme Rice, so whether you get the brown, the long grain, the medium grain, or the jasmine, make it Supreme Rice. You can get it at places like here at Rouse's. Very easy as you're going in to tailgate for the next 3 home games. For more information and some great recipes, go to the website at SupremeRice.com. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day Scouting Report.
Presented by Demco. Demco, powering lives, brightening the future.
Welcome back in. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Continuing to count you down. LSU-Alabama, prime time on CBS. Just feels right, especially for the last year of the SEC on CBS. It's time to take a closer look at the Tide. We welcome in Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl, with our scouting report. Jim, we appreciate the time as always. Thank you. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm great, Matt. Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's been the normal 2-week build up, and at this point, everybody's kind of like, okay, it's been 2 weeks. Let's tee it up. Let's kick it off, and they'll do that here in a matter of hours. When you look at it, it's LSU, it's Alabama. There's athletes all over the field. It's kind of something Brian Kelly, I know, has been trying to push home. It's like, they're struggling on the offensive line. The secondary. This. He's like, it's still Alabama. They still have players. Let's talk about a few of them. I want to start on the offensive side because while that's probably been where Alabama's had some struggle, there are familiar names that LSU fans and people around the country should be very familiar with. Let's start in the backfield because I think when you look at Alabama, what they've done, they've run the ball a lot and then play action, boom, over the top. Jace McClellan at running back, again, familiar with him. He broke the 65-yarder in Tiger Stadium last year, now in that full-time starting role in the Crimson and White.
Yeah, Jace is a good, solid all-around back. There's not a lot of wow factor to him. He's not in the lineage of the Derrick Henrys and Eddie Lacy's and, Mark Ingram's. Like, he's not, Najee Harris. He's not one of those guys. He's not an early-round draftable player, but he is a draftable player. He is the guy that's going to play on Sundays. He's really good at everything. Does he have an outstanding skill set in one area? Probably not, but he is a really solid, dependable, all-around player who will definitely get drafted. We'll be watching this guy play on Sundays.
I kind of mentioned there some potential struggle there with the offensive line. They've given up a lot of sacks, more than normal for Alabama. How is McClellan kind of grayed out in the pass protection game?
Pretty good, yeah, for a college back. I mean, most of these guys struggle in that. You don't find too many college backs that can pass pro, and it's usually just a technique thing. They don't work on it a lot in college. But yeah, he can do it. He's plenty tough enough. What you got to look for as a scout is, do they have the substance, the anchor to hold up in pass protection, and then are they willing to do it? And he's fine in both those areas.
So they're going to run the ball with Jace McClellan, and then what they've been liking to do, taking the shot over the top. And when they've done that, they've gone for Jermaine Burton, one of two Georgia transfers that we're going to touch on here. The big play threat, in fact, leading the SEC in 22.1 yards per catch. I think when he was at Georgia and even last year, kind of slowed to develop a little bit, but now has really kind of burst onto the scene and is trending towards that guy you kind of normally see at Bama who can stretch the field.
Yeah, I think my first exposure to Burton was a couple years ago at Alabama when he was with the Georgia helmet on. And when you watch him, he's really fast, and you want to kind of pigeonhole this guy as a vertical threat, one-trick pony. And what he's really done, he's really turned himself into, like I said, McClellan's a good all-around back, and Jermaine Burton's really turned himself into a good all-around receiver. He can run routes. He can get open. He's got phenomenal catch skills. This guy can really track the football deep and make great plays on the ball. And he can make explosive plays. He's had his best season by far. Got the NFL's attention. I mean, right now, I think he's probably a top 100 player in the draft, talent-wise. And if Alabama's gonna, keep in the game and go score for score with LSU, which I think they're going to have to do to stay in this game, they're going to have some big plays from Jermaine Burton. So he would definitely be a guy to keep an eye on tonight. If LSU wants to keep this Alabama offense in check, they're going to have their eyes on him.
You mentioned him becoming more of a complete wide receiver. Is there one thing that y'all have seen throughout that kind of you can pinpoint is like, okay, that's what he's changed in order to do that?
Yeah, making more plays inside, working across the middle into more traffic. It's just not downfield throws on like posts and goes. He'll run dig routes. He'll work the middle of the field. So just showing the toughness. And he's done that this year for sure.
All right, let's flip sides of the ball to the defense. We're talking with Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl, giving us our scouting report here on Alabama. Let's start on the defensive line and a guy who has been at Alabama all the way back to 2019. Justin Aboigbe had a season cut short due to injury last year, but now back and a presence on the inside.
Yeah, he's playing his best football. And so are probably the next couple of guys we're going to talk about on the defensive side. Give defensive coordinator Kevin Steele a lot of credit. Kevin's had a couple different runs through there. I know he coached. He had a stint down there with Tigers as well in Baton Rouge. He's done a really good job of simplifying things. A lot of these guys are playing, like I said, their best ball. Justin is a guy, as you mentioned, had a neck injury last year. So, where he gets drafted, I think a lot is going to come down to that medical report that the team doctors are going to have to look at. But from a skill set perspective, I mean, he kind of fits that Alabama defensive line body type. He's long. He plays good at the point of attack. He's a good technician. He can really run. I think you'll see if LSU tries to get out on the perimeter, this is a big guy that can run some stuff down out there. And really over the last month of the season, he's turned it on. I think there was a bit of a rust factor like that first month of the season. But you look at these last 3 or 4 games, and he is playing his best football.
Okay, so everybody obviously wants to talk about Dallas Turner, and rightfully so. He's awesome. He stepped in and kind of, that Will Anderson mold and gone after Anderson left. But coming off the other edge is a guy that you don't sleep on, and that's Chris Braswell, who also is top 5 in sacks in the SEC, just like his teammate Turner.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of pressure. You look at his pressure percentage numbers, for the analytics people in the NFL, they like to look at that stuff, and he's going to be up there. There's some of it is, hustle production, right? Like Dallas Turner's doing a great job, really athletic guy on the other side, kind of flushes some stuff to Chris. So he gets some cleanup production that way. But he's a guy that can win in a lot of different ways off the edge. He's not just a speed guy. He's not just a power guy. He's got kind of a full arsenal. And again, he's a little bit like Jace McClellan at running back. Like, is there an overwhelming trait with him? No, but he's really good in a lot of areas. And a lot of listeners might follow a guy named Bruce Feldman, who's on Fox Football. He's like their information guy, and he always puts out a freaks list every summer. A lot of LSU players have been on that over the years, and Braswell was on that, and it's because he's going to test well in the spring too. He's going to be, kind of one of those guys that shows out at the pro day. So yeah, he is. He's, Braswell's kind of waited his turn. He's been a career backup, and he's really made the most of his opportunities this year as a starter.
Speaking of making your most as an opportunity as a starter, that's definitely what Tresman Marshall has done as well. The second Georgia transfer that we're going to talk about here, sparingly on the two national championship teams under Kirby Smart there in Athens, but stepped right into the middle linebacker role in Tuscaloosa here.
Yeah, he has. He's playing a lot more. I don't know if he's done enough to get himself drafted this year. It'll be interesting to see if Alabama tries to get him to come back for another year. But he's certainly played solid. I mean, they've been a lot better on defense. I mean, really gradually gotten better every week, it seems like, and he's part of that defense. So you got to give him credit. He's right in the middle of it. He will chase. I mean, this guy does play hard. I'll give him that. Like, he is a physical guy. He will play hard. And so the transfer has worked out well for him. He wasn't getting those opportunities in Athens, and he's gotten them in Tuscaloosa, and he's made the most of it. I mean, he'll show up around the ball just because he plays hard.
If he doesn't get drafted and is back at Alabama next year, and I know it's hypothetical in a sense, but what is one area that scouts would probably want him to improve on in another year in college?
Yeah, it would be coverage stuff, but you could say that for about 95% of linebackers in college football. I mean, that's the biggest difference between the pro game and the college game is that, the vast majority, you're not playing at the next level as a linebacker if you can't cover. So that would be it. But again, that's no indictment on him. I mean, like I said, the vast majority of these college guys, that's the one thing they need to work on. So, just becoming more flexible, becoming better space athletes and the ability to cover.
A couple more for you here, Jim. We appreciate the time as always. Malachi Moore in the secondary for Alabama, a group that has, kind of the standout in Kool-Aid McKinstry, who everybody points to, and some pieces around him as well. They've really become a solid unit throughout the year. When people talk about Malachi Moore, the word I hear most often is versatility. He can play in a lot of different spots. Where is LSU going to see him most tonight?
Yeah, I mean, everyone points to Kool-Aid. He's kind of the media darling, but when you talk to people in the NFL, I think they'll tell you Terrion Arnold is actually the best corner on that Alabama football team. And Kool-Aid's good, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of love in the NFL for Terrion Arnold on the other side, and I'm sure LSU fans know Malachi Moore's name. He started from day one there, and really his best year prior to this year was his freshman year. He had a really nice freshman year, made a lot of splash plays that his scouts got your attention. And scouts aren't typically looking for freshmen, but he made some plays that freshman year that made you take notice. And then there was a little dip in his play as a sophomore and junior, and he's come back this year and played really, really well. Aggressive player, really instinctive, has good eyes. Kind of a lesser version of Brian Branch, who was there last year, who went in the second round to the Detroit Lions. If he came here to the Senior Bowl, we'd play him at free safety some, because I think that's where the NFL, sees that being Malachi's ultimate home, is being more of a free safety where he can rely on those instincts. So, yeah, he's having a really nice bounce back year after a couple of down years.
Last one for you here, Jim. And, we don't normally talk special teams during this segment, but this game's come down to a kick plenty throughout its history. One year, all they did was kick field goals in the game, and Alabama's got a darn good one in Will Reichert, who I know y'all definitely have your eye on, as well as many in the NFL.
Yeah, we invited him last year, and he accepted his invite to the Senior Bowl, and then get a call from Coach Saban at the beginning of January saying that he wanted to have his kicker back. So that's how it works in college football right now. There's NIL money out there, and if they want players back, they're usually going to get them back. So, Will's the all-time scoring leader in NCAA history. He came back and I think just broke that record a couple weeks ago, really accurate from inside 50 yards, and he's got the leg to extend outside of 50 yards. So if the game does come down to a kick, and as you said, it has done that. This game has done that many times. Alabama's got a guy that can come through.
NIL for a kicker. What a world college football is in this day and age, Jim. We appreciate the time, as always. Thank you. Enjoy the game, and we'll do it again next week.
All right, Matt. This will be a fun one tonight.
Absolutely. That is Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl. He's on Twitter at JimNagy_SB. Tigers and Tide in Tuscaloosa tonight. We'll have more next on Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
The importance of doing this Fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the Fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a Fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096.
98.1.
The dependable storage college football scoreboard. Dependable storage. Let us store your stuff. DependableStorage.com.
We're watching right along with you right here. A&M, a 47-yard field goal to tie the game and send it to overtime. It is no good. It's short, and Ole Miss holds on to win it 38-35. The final play of the game, a 47-yard field goal for A&M. It was online, but it was short. And Ole Miss, who had a commanding lead in the first half of this game, saw that go away and A&M take the lead, put a touchdown drive together, make it 38-35. A&M's final drive comes up short. The field goal to send it to overtime also comes up short. And so Ole Miss wins it 38-35. We got another game coming down to the final play here in Gainesville. Florida and Arkansas are tied at 33. Some controversy about an illegal substitution on Florida as they were trying to get the ball spiked to attempt what would have been about a 38-yard field goal. So, Musso, they're trying to sort things out here in Gainesville. It appears as if Florida is going to get a chance to kick this field goal. We were wondering about a runoff. The clock was running. There were players going on and off the field for both teams. Florida had no timeouts left. They get this ball down to the 21-yard line, and they were trying to get it spiked. Boy, that field goal for A&M comes up just a few yards short.
Blocked. I think
somebody got a hand on it.
Coming around the edge, I think he got a fingertip on it.
Somebody got a hand on it. All right. In Austin, Texas. Kansas State, first of all, makes a 44-yard field goal, the last play of regulation, to send this to overtime. Texas gets the ball to open the overtime period. They kick a field goal. Kansas State has run it down there on the Texas 4-yard line playing second and goal. Florida's going to get a chance to kick a 44-yard field goal to win this thing. There are 8 seconds to go here. Ball on the left hash. Here's the kick, and it is no good. very, very far wide right. Wow. So 3 seconds remain there. Arkansas will have a heave to the end zone. Otherwise, they are going to overtime. You got all that?
I got all that.
Okay.
I mean, what an 11 o'clock slate. My goodness.
We knew it was a good card, but boy, has it lived up
to overtime games
all
now.
of this stuff. Yeah, and Kansas State now playing third down and goal from the 4-yard line. They're trying to come back from what was a 17. Was it 17-0 at one point?
Yeah,
I think
17-0.
17-7. Yeah, 17-7 at the half.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kansas State's got one shot to win this thing. And then they'd have to kick a field goal. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe they got to play in their pocket somewhere to do that. Okay, so again, Ole Miss beats A&M. Last play of the game, field goal comes up short, 38-35. Arkansas is not even they're not in position to throw one to the end zone, so they're going to take a knee. That's going to overtime.
Fourth and goal in Austin.
Fourth and goal in Austin. So, okay, we assume that Kansas State's going to kick the field goal there. That would make it 33-33, and they'll go to double overtime. Okay, you got all of that? Let's move on.
Oh, by the way, the 2:30 games are starting.
Yeah. All right, let's get you up to date. So some of the games with staggered starts. Number 18, Utah leads Arizona State 24-3. That game's at the half. Sam Houston and Kennesaw State tied at 21 late in the fourth quarter. Georgia Tech leads Virginia 24-10. That game's at the half. Temple leads Navy 17-0 early third quarter. This has got to be one of the shockers of the day to me. Army is leading Air Force 20-0. We saw Army 2 weeks ago. They offensively, they are as challenged as anybody in the country. Air Force, one of their best teams in recent memory. They're 8-0. They were a huge favorite in this ball game. Army just can't really score. 20-0. The Cadets. Air Force does have the ball down in the red zone now with 5 minutes to go in the first half. Air Force wins today. They win the Commander-in-Chief's trophy, but boy, Army's putting up a fight today. UAB and Florida Atlantic are tied at 7. That's early in the second quarter. UTSA leading North Texas 17-3 early in the second quarter. Memphis leading South Florida 21-7. That first quarter has just come to an end. Arkansas State leads UL Lafayette 17-7. That's early in the second quarter. Let's see. Games that are kicking off just about 15 minutes ago. Penn State, number 11 Penn State and Maryland are scoreless. Number 13 Louisville has scored a touchdown. They lead Virginia Tech 7-0. East Carolina, 1-7 East Carolina against 7-1 Tulane. East Carolina with an early 3-0 lead. First quarter score at Wrigley Field. Iowa and Northwestern. You want to guess this score?
Iowa Northwestern. I'm going to go 0-0.
Very good.
Yep.
Okay. They had a great funny on game day this morning. They What? Well, you got a look on your face. What happened?
Kansas State lost 33-30. I'm trying to see
missed?
if I don't know if they missed or if they went for it. I'm looking at that right now, Annie. I just saw the final.
All right, so Texas is going to survive. Texas survives.
Texas survived.
Okay.
They won. It looks like they went for it on fourth and goal. Will Howard incomplete pass.
Okay. They had a great funny on game day this morning about Iowa and Northwestern. The Cubs and the Reds scored 29 runs in a game this year.
They
okay.
did.
Will there be more points scored in the Iowa Northwestern game? The total was
30.
30.
It was
yeah.
30.
Okay, so more points in the more runs or points?
Give me the runs.
Yeah.
Give me the runs.
I'll put 29 on the board and feel comfortable with it. Houston and Baylor scoreless in the first quarter. Cincinnati an early field goal. They lead UCF 3-0. James Madison leads Georgia State 7-0. That's the other unbeaten team. James Madison is 8-0 ineligible for postseason play, at least for the moment. Old Dominion leads Coastal Carolina 7-0. Georgia knocking on the door there inside the Missouri 20 on the first drive of that ball game. Oklahoma State, an early score in Bedlam. They lead Oklahoma 7-0 just 4 minutes in.
They want that one. God, they want that one.
Illinois leading Minnesota 7-0. That is early in the first quarter. Earlier finals today, Musso just told you, number 7 Texas survives in overtime. They beat number 23 Kansas State 33-30. Ohio State trailing at the half in Piscataway 9-7, came back with 28 second half points. They beat Rutgers 35-16. Kyle McCord threw 3 touchdown passes for the Buckeyes. We told you that Ole Miss hung on with A&M missing the field goal. South Carolina beat Jacksonville State 38-28. What's the significance of that game? First time ever Gamecocks versus Gamecocks. That's
okay,
right.
Yeah, I was not going to get that, Andy. I'm be honest. Was not going to get that.
Clemson beats number 15 Notre Dame 31-23. They picked Sam Hartman twice. One of them was a pick six as Clemson goes to 5-4. Number 17 Tennessee, no problem with UConn 59-3. Indiana beats Wisconsin 20-14. Michigan State beats Nebraska 20-17, which means I think that officially everybody is in first place in the Big Ten West. And North Carolina beat Campbell 59-7. Games later. 10 minutes away from kickoff in Nashville. Auburn is at Vandy. Also Charlotte and Tulsa. UM Monroe, Southern Miss, Hawaii, and Nevada all at 3 o'clock. 4 o'clock kickoff for Georgia Southern at Texas State. 4:30 kickoff. Cal is at number 6, Oregon. 5 o'clock kickoff. Louisiana Tech at Liberty. Liberty's also 8-0. Should point that out. And Middle Tennessee's at New Mexico State. Marshall at App State. UNLV at New Mexico. 6 o'clock kickoff in Ames, Iowa. Probably going to be pretty chilly. Number 21 Kansas, coming off that big win against Oklahoma, is a 3-point underdog there. BYU is at West Virginia. Conference game. Utah State at San Diego State. 6:30 kickoff for Purdue at number 3, Michigan. We assume that Purdue will be running the plays in from the sidelines.
Most likely, yeah.
6:30 kickoff in L.A. Number 5, Washington, and number 20, USC. Don't blink, you'll miss 2 touchdowns. Kentucky is at Mississippi State. SMU's at Rice. 7 o'clock kick for Miami at NC State. 8 o'clock kickoff for Western Kentucky at UTEP. Stanford at Washington State. 9 o'clock kickoff for number 16 Oregon State at Colorado. Colorado has changed offensive play callers. They need 2 wins in their last 4 to get bowl eligible. Going to be sticky.
The schedule's brutal. I don't
very,
see it.
very
that
tough.
Stanford loss cost them a bowl game.
Boise State is at Fresno State in the 9:30 kickoff. The late game, number 19 UCLA at Arizona, who's also playing for bowl eligibility, and that is your college football scoreboard. They're going to overtime in Gainesville. Flipping a coin there. We'll keep you up to date on that. We'll talk recruiting with Shay Dixon when we return. We are at Rouse's, corner of Burbank and Lee. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Recruiting with Shay Dixon from On3 Sports. Presented by Ralph's Market. Ralph's Market, where quality and customer service are a family tradition.
Okay, before we bring Shay in, it is the first possession of the overtime. Florida puts a field goal through to make it 36-33 Gators. And so Arkansas with the football and a chance to win it, or at least tie it and send it to double overtime. Arkansas has lost 6 straight, 5 of those by 1 score. We'll see what they do here. Now let's bring in Shay Dixon from On3. Shay, good afternoon. How are you? Yep, Shay. You were talking to him just a second ago.
I was talking to him.
Okay, well, see if you can talk to him here and find out where he's at. Get you up to date. Bedlam, Oklahoma came back, tied the score at 7 apiece. Oklahoma State's got the football back. They are back up near midfield. Georgia cashed the opening drive in for a field goal against Missouri, and so that game is 3-0 early in Athens. Arkansas with the football from the 25-yard line, their first possession of the overtime. And K.J. Jefferson going to get loose for a first down, but a flag going to probably bring that back. Arkansas can't get out of their own way sometimes,
they can't.
You know.
When you've lost 6 straight, that tends to happen.
I got it.
We
Okay.
should be good.
All right. I think Shay can hear us now. Shay, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing well. Sorry, I don't know. I can hear you. You just can hear me.
Okay, well, we got all of that worked out. Shay, when LSU and Alabama play, the recruiting world watches, because it's likely to have as many stars, high school stars I'm talking about, on the sideline, whether the game's in Tuscaloosa or Baton Rouge. And a lot of these players are being recruited by both teams, and they'll just go wherever the game is. So you tell me. Ordinarily, I don't ask you about visit lists on the other side, but this game's a little bit different. So who's in attendance today in Tuscaloosa that we should be paying attention to?
One big one is George McIntyre. He's the quarterback they're after, in addition to Bryce Underwood for next year, the 2025 class. And they put a focus there for more than a year. He's out of Nashville and is on Bama, Tennessee, obviously the in-state team, and then LSU. He's made 4 or 5 visits to LSU. He's already been at a game. So he's the number 2 quarterback in the country. He'll be there. Caleb Cunningham, who is ranked as one of the top 5 receivers in America. He's been to some LSU games already. He was at the LSU game versus Bama a year ago when LSU won. He's a big LSU target, big Bama target for next year that we'll be watching out of Mississippi. There's some other kids for next year, but then I would say notably the 2 Louisiana kids who are there are for the future, the sophomores right now, 2026. But they're big names. Lamar Brown over at U-High, who is a top 10 overall prospect, and Jakeem Stewart at St. Aug, who is also a top 10 overall prospect, and the number 1 defensive lineman and number 1 interior offensive lineman in the country for that year. That Louisiana class is going to be stacked here in the next 2 years. So it's kind of funny, Charlie, or different at least, that this year Alabama and LSU are really not going head-to-head for anybody on the recruiting trail. The head-to-head matchups are really happening with Texas A&M.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next question, is how many kids are they going head up on, because it just seems like a lot less than usual. I'm going to ask this question. Don't read anything into it. Just give me your straight read. Is there less on the recruiting trail because they are starting to at least give the possibility out that Nick Saban may be nearing retirement?
I don't think so. I think they're still recruiting at a nice clip. I mean, they have a top 5 class, and they're going to close with some guys. I think more so than anything, it's just that Georgia became the hot team, and Georgia and Alabama go heads up for so many kids that for so long they were going into Georgia and just taking who they wanted. Now Georgia's been able to recruit the whole Southeast and nationally a bit, but really put a grip on that. So more so than Saban getting older, I think is just Kirby taking over the past couple of years.
I figured as much, but I thought I would ask. This touchdown going to hold up, Musso?
I think so.
Arkansas has
think
just
it will.
won the game in Gainesville with a touchdown pass, 5-yard touchdown pass. KJ Jefferson, and Arkansas breaks that 6-game losing streak with a 39-36 win over the Florida Gators. So, Shay, how does this play out over the next 3 weeks? LSU's got 3 home games in 3 weeks. The high school season, the regular season came to an end last night. How does this next 3-week process play out?
It's going to be a number of visitors largely for Florida and A&M, right? And their biggest visit weekend, I think, will be Florida. And you just noted Florida's coming to Tiger Stadium now off a loss. We'll see what happens tonight with LSU. But Florida falling to 5-4 on the year. They'll have a lot of targets, a lot of commits, and all that. But I'll say notably again, if it plays out how they're expecting it to, they're going to have a lot of A&M's kids commitments at that LSU Florida game, which I think is notable. A&M lost today, and the more that team goes south, the more buzz there is around the future there, the more kind of even at position levels, coaches, are they going to stay? Do they move on? Do they go with somebody else? That affects a recruiting class. And I've talked about it before. It's never a game, but it's the trajectory. And A&M is 4 losses this season. If LSU gets a win tonight and stays alive in the SEC West race, they're not going to be done flipping Texas A&M commits, I don't believe. And they've already got a big one, pulling it off during A&M's bye week by getting 5-star Weston Davis.
Shay, isn't, in your experience, when recruits start flipping like this and enough of them turn reopen their recruitment, if you will, is this a telltale sign that maybe behind the scenes they know that something's in motion here? Or am I reading too much into this?
I think they more get a feel for the buzz around the programs, and they look, these are in a number of the cases, let's say guys like Weston Davis flipped. He's an all-5-star offensive lineman. He's saying, hey, look, LSU's not only playing really well, and I'm from Beaumont, I'm kind of in the middle here, but Brad Davis is developing a lineman. Draylon Miller decommitted from A&M and said they're not doing anything in the passing game still. And you look at what LSU's doing, and they've got 2 guys who lead the nation in the 2 most important categories, receiving yards and touchdowns. And LSU's got the best offense in college football. But again, I'd go back to you're in year 2 of Brian Kelly, and you have a shot, right, to be back-to-back SEC West champs. You're in year, 6 of Jimbo, and you're sitting here already looking at a 4-loss season with November barely beginning.
They're looking 7-5 straight in the face. They've got a rental win in November, and they play Mississippi State at home, which I assume that they're going to win. Who knows? But they're not paying him that kind of money to go 7-5. 7-5 will get you fired with a regular contract, much less this thing. So if they could have put the money up, I think they would have already done it. But maybe it gets a little bit more intense now for Jimbo Fisher. Because if I'm at A&M, I'm looking, I'm saying, you have every resource in the world. We have given you every facility, every staff, every NIL, everything we can give you. And Ole Miss has now beaten you 3 straight times with a fraction of what you have. And I'm sure Lane Kiffin's going to have a ball in this press conference after the game, because he's been one of the – they're buying their team, and we're not. And we're still beating you. That's hard to overcome, Shay, I think, if you're Jimbo Fisher.
Oh, absolutely. The seat's never going to be hotter as this continues to go on. I mean, think about it. We talked about it a few weeks back. They've had 1 10-win season since 1999, basically. And if we give them that COVID year, that's 2. But since then, they went 8-4, 5-7. Now they're 5-4 on the year. Would you say 7-5 maybe? So you're going from a really solid COVID year to you won 8 games, you won 5 games, you won 7 games. That's not doing anything for them as a fan base and as donors and all that. And it certainly isn't going to help on the recruiting trail. That's why LSU and Texas and these teams are circling like sharks do.
I think you lose to Alabama, okay. You lose to LSU, okay. You can't lose 3 in a row to Ole Miss. You just can't. Not if you're over there. Shay, you did a piece this morning that gives your insight as to what LSU might be looking at in the transfer portal. So just kind of give us your thoughts there. As I know we talk mostly about recruiting, but the transfer portal is recruiting. It's just college recruiting of current players. So where do you think LSU stands going into the transfer portal?
A lot less of a focus than it has been in the first 2 years, because remember, when you take over a team that has fewer than 40 scholarship players, Brian Kelly said, look, these next couple of years we're going to be double-digit guys into the portal. Now they're in a spot where they're closer to that 85-man scholarship limit, which is the only cap you have in recruiting. So I think they'll wind up with 30-ish, let's say, high school signees. They have 26 right now. That gives you the chance to develop again, get guys into each position, have some depth, develop them, which for me brings the transfer portal addition total into the single digits. I would be shocked if they hit double-digit transfers, and Brian Kelly said as much. So maybe 5 or 6 of them, probably a corner, given that it looks like Juice Chestnut's probably done. Who knows with Denver Harris, that J.K. Johnson's been hurt all year. You still need – yes, you're signing a big high school corner class, but maybe you get another guy, maybe a former Louisiana native comes back, something like that. But other than that, I don't think it'll be maybe 4 or 5 more guys where, Charlie, you say I'm weak at this spot, and this spot, or I like a little insurance here or there, and that's it. It won't be this wholesale, hey, we need 5 corners, 60 linemen. I think they're a little bit more removed from that.
Actually, Shay, I think they need 5 corners today. Yeah, I don't know if they need it for next year, but they need 5 corners today. So, other than that, I think you're probably fine. All right, before we let you go, thoughts on tonight's game? How do you see it playing out?
No, man, I don't know. I could see Vegas being right and Bama winning by a field goal. I could see this being a game where LSU wins by double digits. And if for some reason this offense just keeps on clicking and the defense can get a few stops, or Alabama turns it over, or whatever it is, that they can get a 10-point win up there. I mean, it's such an odd thing. Charlie, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I can't remember an Alabama-LSU game with these dynamics. Like, LSU has the best offense in college football, but they have one of the worst defenses. And, Bama's they're pretty good on offense, but middle of the road. But they're okay. They're solid on defense, not the best. It always seems like it's either not this, right? Not where LSU's got some juggernaut offense and you still aren't sure if they can beat them. And Bama's not even some elite Bama team. So I don't know. I have no clue. I'm not putting my hard-earned money on it. I'll tell you that.
No, I'm not either. I can do half of it, Shay. In 2013, when LSU went to Tuscaloosa, they had a great offense and a bad defense, but the Alabama part of the equation doesn't play because that was a really good Alabama team from top to bottom. So I can meet you halfway, but that's about the best that I can do. Have a great rest of the weekend, Shay. We'll be monitoring On 3 after the game. I'm sure you guys will have plenty of updates. Thanks, my friend.
Yeah, yes. Congrats on your A&M loss, too, Charlie. There you go.
It's more Hunt's than mine, but, whatever. Shay Dixon from On 3. We're brought to you by AJ's Sports Cards, located off Drusilla, open from 9:30 until 6, Monday through Friday, and Saturdays from 9:30 until 2. Tons of football, baseball, basketball cards, also a huge variety of Pokemon cards with always new products coming in during the week. High-end products in stock if you're a collector. They got all the supplies you need, like cases and sleeves that you can get to help out your collection. And starting in this month, they're partnering with Topps to do a buyback program. The program is where you can get store credit trading in specific Topps products. So that's what we're starting here in the month of November. So thanks to the folks out at AJ's Sports Cars on Drusilla. We'll take a break and we'll come back. We'll hear from the guys on OTB from Rouse's. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Off the bench on Game Day. Presented by Shell. Shell is the rhythm of Louisiana. Off the bench is heard weekday mornings from 7 to 10 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Now from OTB, Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
I think the boys are ready. And I'm done with analysis. We've talked about the game every which way, but we've looked at it from every single angle under every rock. I get it. The defense sucks. Well, guess what? Step the hell up. Somebody make a play. Ashton Stamps, you getting hyped up all the time during this camp? Go make a play. Javid Toviano, we don't really know who you are. Go make a play. Go shut down Jermaine Burton. Go get after Jalen Milroe. Front 7, Jordan Jefferson. Go be the second Jordan Jefferson to become a hero in T-Town in the last decade. Let's go, dude. I'm sick of Alabama. I'm sick of all this crap. I'm ready for this game, dude. I'm ready to get to it. I'm ready to win.
I do love what you said about the young players playing DB. Your scholarship players.
Yeah.
You got signed to play at LSU, right? These aren't players that are coming from somewhere else. You signed these players to come play at LSU. Do you have a lot of experience? No, you don't. But again, you signed to play for LSU. You have the talent. Otherwise, you would have not been signed to a place like LSU. So, yes, you are young. Yes, you are inexperienced. But you know what? Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Like, nobody's going to, like, oh, yeah, well, you know what? He's unexperienced. Like, he's very inexperienced, doesn't have the plays out there. Like, they don't care. Like, you have to go out there. You've had multiple weeks now to get ready.
Yep.
So you shouldn't have to have a game plan that is safe, because safe gets you beat in this matchup.
Oh, ain't no half-stepping here.
No
fear.
Safe will get you beat here in this game. So the call is the call. Play the call. Play to your technique. Play to the reason why you were signed to a place like LSU. Again, because nobody will care. They don't care about excuses. We've all been there. We all know what that situation is, playing as a young guy. But again, nobody cares, because once the ball's kicked, they don't say Ashton Stamp freshman on the play. They say your name on the play.
And what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? Like, really, as a team, what do you have to lose? You've already lost twice. Like, you've already suffered. You already felt the pain of losing in Oxford in the manner that you did, in which you blew a 9-point lead. You felt the pain of being on a massive stage against Florida State to open the season with 10 million plus watching, and but you've already suffered. It's the old Game of Thrones idea, right? What is dead may never die. They're the ones that have the pressure. They're the ones that are seeking to maintain their empire, right? They're the ones that are seeking to maintain this standard that Nick Saban has set, in which they've never gone 3 years without winning a national championship. And guess what? This is the part that I love the most about it, Jake. Their hopes are still alive. their hopes are still alive. Yes, it's a flawed team, but it's a team that has continued to win. And despite all of their flaws, Alabama sits in the driver's seat in the West. They control their own destiny. They control their path to Atlanta, and thus they control their path to that national championship that they're desperately trying to grab this year to make sure that their streak isn't broken and that there's not even more sign that their empire is crumbling. But that's the best part. They still have hope. And you, in your hands, you alone have the ability to extinguish that hope. You have been offered a point of leverage, a crowbar to open up their chest and cause them pain. And that's something beautiful. And that's something wonderful. When it's your enemies, when you want to see these people suffer, you have been given the platform to do so. So go do it. And then you reap the rewards.
And also to go into this matchup and be the alpha. Like with that kind of energy, like going into this game, because so many times, and T, you would know this better than me because you got into this game, you know, sooner than I did as far as sports media, and you came in like when the streak was going on, and so many times like, oh man, I hope we can stay competitive against Alabama. Like, no, that's not the energy that you need.
Not anymore. And that's how it used to be. Fair.
Yes,
it was fair.
Without
and it was
question.
Realistic. You know, they had 9 deep, like first-round defensive linemen with Jonathan Allen and all them. They were much better than you. You had Les Miles. They had Nick Saban. None of that is the case anymore. Again, crumbling empire, y'all. This ain't your daddy's Alabama.
So I want to see LSU with that mentality. Go in there and say, I'm going to impose my will on you. There's nothing that you can do about it, because I feel like that's important in this matchup. Because as far as like the mentals of this game, for so long, it felt like they had the advantage. You should have the advantage for a lot of the things that you laid out, T, for beating them a year ago, for feeling like you have a coaching staff that a bye week actually helps you in certain situations, and it's no longer going to be their advantage every single time. All right?
Yep.
Knowing that you have the best quarterback in the country.
You
have the receiver that has the most receiving yards in the country.
Tell him.
A different receiver has the most receiving touchdowns in the country, not even the same guy. You've got a top 5 running back in the SEC in Logan Diggs, who would probably be closer to 2 if he didn't miss the first game of the season.
True.
You have the best offensive line in the SEC, maybe the best in the country.
Tell him.
Okay, you have advantages in this game. Go in there with your chest out knowing that you have those advantages. You have the number 1 offense in the country. There's not an offense. Look at the analytics. Look at the stats. There's not an offense in this country that is better than you are. And you've done it against one of the best schedules in the country. You haven't done it against Michigan's schedule. You haven't done it against Georgia's schedule. You've done it against one of the best schedules in the country. You are who you are, which is damn good. Have that mentality going into this game. Is your defense playing with young players? Yes, but as an offense, have this mentality that it doesn't matter what they do, because every time we get it, we're going to score. Have that mentality. Don't be like, oh, we got to score every time. Don't think of it that way.
No.
Think of we're going to go score every single time. Just know that you can be the alpha in this matchup. Know that you can do things that they can't stop. That's what I want to see. That's what I expect to see from Jaden Daniels in this offense.
Prior preparation prevents poor performance. Fear is bred of a lack of preparation. Fear is bred of the unknown. There will be no fear in JD5's eyes, the same way there was no fear as he stared down that Alabama team last year at Tiger Stadium and found a way to win that game in the biggest moments, whether it's running in the end zone, side-eyeing the defender, cool as can be as he enters, or the 2-point conversion executed to perfection to find a way to get that win. Like you said, the offense, we know they some stone cold killers. Okay, so be that killer. Like Jake's talking about, embody that confidence. And the defense, look, everybody thinks you suck, so what do you have to lose? You can only suck worse, and that you still suck either way. Okay, so go out there, make a big play. Somebody needs to find a way to do something like Harold Perkins did against Mizzou, which is probably that second half against Mizzou, the best that this defense has been against a good offense, and it was just finding a way to make a big turnover play and set the tone. And so somebody's going to do it tomorrow night. Who will be? I don't know, but somebody is going to do it. And that person, they're going to become a legend, because that's what these games do. You go make plays in this game. You think about Eric Reed in the game of the century coming down with that pick. You think about Chad Jones coming up with a forced fumble on JP. I mean, you think about the 4th and 1 fake to D-Lo back in 2010 that got you down to the goal line. You end up scoring and winning that game. Ruben Randall has the big touchdown. Drake Nevis is the big force fumble. Like, you make plays in this game, you live forever. Clyde, throw your heart across the line and the body will follow, right? last year. Mason Taylor, the 2-point conversion to win the game in Tiger Stadium. This is where immortality, this is why you come to college. This is why you come to LSU or Alabama. You don't come here because you want to play Army. You come here because you want to be at college game day with 10 to 15 milli watching your every single move and 100,000 people in the stands that either want to see you die or want to see you succeed. And either way, good. I welcome it. It gives me juice.
Like, if you want to feel the energy that you need to have, go watch LaRon Landry hit Brody Croy on 2005. That's all you got to do. Go have that energy. Go have that thought process about this game. Hell, I'm talking about fans. I'm talking about anybody watching this game. I'm talking about players on the field, coaches. Go have that type of energy. You know why? Because that man was coming with bad intentions every single play. And they knew it, and they feared him. Make them fear you. Look, you've got Jimmys and Joes on defense. Have you been good? No. You got the guys. You got Harold Perkins and other players that can go out there and make that play. But so much about this game to me, and so many that T was in, so many that I was in, it was about how do you enter this game? What is your thought process as you go into this game? Do you want to win or do you need to win? It's a big difference. Wanting to and needing to is a big difference. Go in there needing to win because it's all you think about, it's all you need, it's all you crave.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-90.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
After further review on Game Day, presented by the Grove Recovery Center. The Grove Recovery Center. Recovery designed for you. After further review is heard weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Now from AFR, here's Matt Moscona.
And we return here at Rouse's, corner of Burbank and Lee. Scone, good afternoon. How are you?
Hey, guys. Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Before we get into the LSU-Alabama game, just any reaction to Jimmy came up with a good one. He said the end of the Florida-Arkansas games, he's not Sunbelt Billy, he's Sunburnt Billy, which I thought was funny. And I want to give him credit. The end of that game, the end of A&M and Ole Miss, which may be the last straw for Jimbo Fisher. Anything that you saw, Kansas State and Texas comes down to the end, they go for it, they miss. Anything you'd like to say before we get into LSU-Alabama?
Well, I mostly look at things through a betting prism, and I had Texas laying the 4, so that was a bummer. But
you and Musso.
No, but as far as college football, since I saw that today, Hanny, my first thought is, does Jimbo even make it to Baton Rouge? Do they make a move before the season ends? I know that seems outlandish, but if you're going to make the move, at least that gives you a jump start on finding whoever might be next, and you start having those formal conversations, because it seems like a formality at this point that he's going to be out. Texas hangs on, and that whole Big 12 is a jumbled mess right now, so that's interesting. And part of me kind of feels good for Sam Pittman. They really went through a meat grinder, that schedule, and to finally get one, man, it sucks to to lose every game, man. So actually, I kind of feel good for them to be able to pull one out late.
Yeah, 5 of the 6 losses were by 1 score. So you lose that many close ones, you would kind of do a break. All right, Matt. To me, one of the biggest things in this game, if not the biggest things, LSU's ability to weave in very inexperienced people in the secondary and mitigate the damage that Alabama can do down the field. So how do you see it, and how much pressure does this put on Andre Sam and Major Burns on the back end of this defense?
I mean, I don't know. I wish I had some great answer to it, Hanny, but the reality is, I know we've talked a lot about the guys that aren't going to be there and playing young guys, but it's not like those young guys are replacing guys that were playing at an All-American level. It would be different if it was 2019 and you had to replace Derek Stingley, who was the best corner in the country. I mean, let's be honest about what this defense is. They're not very good, and I don't think that they magically found something in the bye week, and I think the success they had against Auburn and Army is a product of who you played. I mean, we were having Moose will tell you we were having conversations about Florida after they, Graham Mertz had the back-to-back. He had the most efficient weeks in the country against Vandy and South Carolina, and then you go play Georgia and you realize, it's because you played Vandy and South Carolina. I mean, I know we all want to focus on this defense and what they might be able to do to have success, but the reality is they're not very good. And LSU, if they're going to win this game, they're going to have to do it scoring a lot of points and just getting enough stops. So, man, look, if they could find a way to get a couple of stops a half, maybe get a short field somewhere, I think that's going to be their ticket tonight in Tuscaloosa.
I can actually make a better case that the second half against Missouri represents, the most optimistic you can be. The defense was better that day than either of the last 2 games. The Army scored 23 points today against Air Force.
Yeah.
They're in the third quarter. But Scone, when we talk about,
I had the under in that game too.
Okay, you're doing well. You're having a great day. Where was I? Oh, Mekhi Wingo, yes. So the corner's not playing at the highest level, but Wingo is a little bit different. They do have more depth to back him up, but Wingo is one of your best players on the defense, and they'll be without him today.
And hey, that's another one. Sorry about the dog barking. That's another one where I look at it and I go, listen, we all know what Mekhi Wingo is. The 18 jersey, last year played at an All-American level. But Brian Kelly even said it this week on Monday that Jordan Jefferson has been their highest graded defensive tackle this year. I think Mekhi Wingo has probably been playing at best at 75%. When you watch him on film, he doesn't look like Mekhi Wingo. So if I'm going to get more snaps of a healthy Jordan Jefferson next to Mason Smith, who is starting to look like he's rounding into form, that he's getting healthy and that he's getting fit again to play. Like, I like that interior combo. Hey, like, honestly, the thing that I like most about LSU's defense tonight is I think that front seven really has an opportunity to win one-on-ones with that Alabama offensive line and to pressure Jalen Milroe and maybe force that errant pass, get that turnover. So that's where I'm actually more optimistic than I am about anything in the secondary.
Let's flip sides. it's tempting to just say to LSU's offense, hey, just do what you've been doing, and certainly that would be great. But Nick Saban's a pretty good defensive coach, if I remember right, and he's going to throw something at them to try to slow this juggernaut down. So any thoughts on what LSU might see different or unique in Alabama's defensive concept tonight?
I'm only going to be interested to see if they're able to create pressure on Jaden Daniels with Dallas Turner. And I feel like we have completely ignored how good of a player he is. Or at least I can speak for myself. I don't know that we said Dallas Turner's name 5 times all week, and that's probably an error on my part. I think Dallas Turner and Will Campbell in that matchup could be fascinating because I think that really, for Alabama, is your chance. Can you create negative plays with your pass rush? Because if Jaden Daniels has time to throw, then there's no secondary in America that can run and cover all of LSU's weapons. It's just the nature of this offense, man. I mean, they're the number one offense and number one scoring offense in the country for a reason. And you know, if Phil Steele gave us this number yesterday that Alabama's holding its opponents by average 115 yards less than their offensive total. So if you hold LSU 115 yards under its season average, they're still putting up 450 yards, man. So, like, I don't know. I think this is going to be. You can tell. I think this is just going to be a really offensive game tonight, and it's probably going to be defensively who can be opportunistic.
So in that vein, Scone, how big could Logan Diggs be tonight for LSU establishing a run game? I mean, if he plays the first game of the season against Florida State, he's probably second in the conference right now in rushing.
You know, it's a good point, Moose. Think about the very first possession of the season for LSU. They get first and goal at the 1-yard line. They had 4 plays from the 1. And Josh Williams had the first carry and got stuffed. If that's Logan Diggs, is he in? I mean, no disrespect at all to Josh Williams, but I think we understand Logan Diggs brings a different dimension. You know, you could line up and run Logan Diggs 4 times at him if you needed to. So, yeah, I think that dynamic with Logan Diggs tonight could be important. And the other thing too, I'm not going to dismiss it all thrown to the backside of the backfield. We've seen Mike Denbrock dial up those wheel routes at times, and we've seen it with different players, so you're not predictable by personnel. We saw it to Josh Williams at the end of the first half against Arkansas. We saw him throw the wheel route to Caleb Jackson. Obviously, we've seen it to John Emery. So I think that's another key part of this game that you may see at some point them dial up a big play, throwing the ball to the back out of the backfield on a wheel route.
Matt, I have seen T-Bob's posts on Twitter today. Win or lose, you have your work cut out for you on Whiskey and Wine. So I just want to send my best wishes ahead of time.
For those that don't know, T-Bob has been battling shingles for 2 weeks and has been, like, for a big dude, he has been in a lot of pain and plowed through, but he was cleared today by the doctor to consume alcohol for the first time in, like, 2 weeks. So, yes, I think tonight at Don Juan, win or lose, the post-game show is going to be a sight to behold, and we're looking forward to hopefully a great night tonight.
We are sending out our best wishes and good thoughts to you for the post-game for Whiskey and Wine tonight. All right, Scone, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. See you.
Georgia with a 10-7 lead on Missouri about 5 minutes into the second quarter. Missouri with the football back deep in their own territory. We will take a break here at Rouse's. The LeBear's countdown to kickoff is about 3 hours and 15 minutes. 3 hours and 10 minutes. I should say 3 hours and 15 minutes. CBS. You know, they plan to start the game before midnight.
This game isn't actually going to start at 6:45, right?
No.
They're going to kick off at 7, like normal.
Yes.
So then just do the game at 7.
But if they do the game at 7,
It's
then they'll kick off at
7:15.
7:15.
Yeah, I know.
Last year.
Last one, yeah.
Last
Come on,
year.
here we go.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get you up to date on everything going on in the world of college football, and it's been plenty. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of Front to Back Boat Service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
98.1. The First South Farm Credit College Football Scoreboard. First South Farm Credit, financing farms and land since 1916.
We start between the hedges in Athens, where Georgia leads Missouri 10-7. This is early second quarter. Melissa, you bring up a point during the break here. Eli Drinkwitz, as much as anybody, has been a pain in the rear for Kirby Smart.
Yeah, I mean, they've stood in the way of the Georgia dynasty more than just about anybody, which is, I can't say I would have saw coming. Georgia should have lost that game last year in Como, and now, I mean, Mizzou's defense standing up here early in this game.
You know, and Georgia had a big yardage advantage in that game, but they did have to come from behind in the fourth quarter here. Missouri is playing. I'm watching this game. They're playing them toe-to-toe. Yeah. This is not a bunch of penalties and turnovers and block kicks and stuff like that. I mean, I realize we're 20 minutes into a 60-minute game, but they're playing them straight. They played LSU straight up. There's no reason they can't play. Missouri's pretty good.
We
need to come to that realization.
That's what we're seeing, though, because, Andy, we talked about it with Jimmy. Georgia, when they've locked in, they've been dominant. They had a better than 2-touchdown spread here. We all figured they'd lock in, and Missouri's, like you said, going toe-to-toe with them. They're good.
Bedlam, final time for the, however long. Number 22, Oklahoma State, has just kicked a 36-yard field goal. They lead number 9, Oklahoma, 17-7. That's about 5 minutes into the second quarter. Other games in progress. Number 18, Utah, pounding Arizona State 34-3. That's at the end of 3 quarters. You get 2 impressions from this game. Number 1, Utah smarting from that beating that they took. They don't get beat like that in Salt Lake City hardly ever. And Oregon really pacing them last week. And Arizona State has got a ton of pluck. I mean, they really, really play hard. They've given a lot of teams fits, including including Washington in Seattle. They may be out of gas in this particular instance. Georgia Tech leading Virginia 31-10. That's early in the fourth quarter. Other fourth quarter scores: Temple leads Navy 24-15. Third quarter scores. And listen, this to me, I'm sorry, is the most surprising result today through 3 quarters. And we've seen some bizarre stuff today. But Army leading undefeated number 25 Air Force 23-3 in the middle of the third quarter qualifies as not a surprise, but an absolute shocker. that they have scored that many points on Air Force, and that Air Force is down 3 scores to Army, given how those two teams have played. Halftime score: UAB leads Florida Atlantic 28-14. UTSA leads North Texas 27-13, and Memphis leads South Florida 35-28. Arkansas State leading UL Lafayette 20-10. All those games are at the half. Second quarter score, early second quarter score, number 4 Florida State and Pittsburgh are scoreless. 20 minutes in, and the Noles are not on the board, and Pittsburgh has the football up near midfield. Number 11 Penn State leads Maryland 14-7. Louisville, number 13 Louisville leads Virginia Tech 14-0. That game's got 4 seconds to go to the break. East Carolina leading number 24 Tulane 10-7. 4 minutes to go to the break there. East Carolina 1-7. Tulane 7-1. Midway through the second quarter, Illinois and Minnesota are tied at 14. Late in the second quarter, Iowa and Northwestern. Musso, guess the score.
I'm going to go with 0-0.
0-0 is correct. Once again, 3 minutes to go in the first half at Wrigley Field. Houston leads Baylor 7-0 with a minute to go in the second quarter. UCF leads Cincinnati 14-3 late in the second quarter. James Madison and Georgia State tied at 7. That is about 5 minutes to go to the break. Old Dominion leads Coastal Carolina 7-3 late second quarter. At the end of 1, Auburn leads Vandy 14-0 in Nashville. Tulsa leads Charlotte 14-0 as well. Southern Miss a 17-0 lead over UL Monroe after 1 quarter of play. Earlier finals. Number 1 Ohio State trailed at the half in Piscataway, but beat Rutgers 35-16. They trailed 9-7 at the break. Kyle McCord threw 3 touchdown passes. In Austin, Texas, number 7 Texas beat number 23 Kansas State 33-30 in overtime. Longhorns got a field goal on the first drive of overtime. Kansas State went for the win from the 4-yard line. Fourth and goal from the 4-yard line. Will Howard's pass was incomplete. He did throw 4 touchdown passes on the day, but K-State comes up just short. Speaking of coming up just short, the 47-yard field goal for Texas A&M comes up short at the gun, and number 10 Ole Miss beats the Aggies 38-35. Quinshon Junkins scored 3 touchdowns for Ole Miss. Jackson Dart threw for 387 on that Texas A&M defense. This drops the Aggies to 5-4, 3-3 in the SEC, and I'm sorry to say that may very well be it for Jimbo Fisher. Clemson beat number 15 Notre Dame 31-23. They forced 2 picks from Sam Hartman. One of them was returned for a touchdown. Number 17 Tennessee beat UConn 59-3. Arkansas breaks their 6-game losing streak with a 39-36 overtime win against Florida. Graham Mertz threw 3 touchdown passes for the Gators in a losing effort, but Arkansas comes out on top. Indiana beat Wisconsin 20-14, and Michigan State beat Nebraska 20-17. I don't know what that does for the Big Ten West. Probably everybody's in first place or everybody's in last place.
It's a jumbled mess,
depending on how you look at it. South Carolina beat Jacksonville State 38-28. North Carolina over Campbell 59-7, and Sam Houston beat Kennesaw State 24-21. And here is Missouri into the Georgia red zone. They're now down at the 19-yard line, trailing only 10-7. 4:45 to go in the first half. Our countdown to kickoff is 3 hours, the LeBarish countdown to kickoff. We're here at Rouse's. We encourage you to come by Rouse's the next few weeks. 3 more LSU home games. Stop by and get all your tailgating supplies, all your wine, all your beer, all your spirits, all your ice, food, a huge selection in the meats department. Anything that you could possibly need for tailgating, you get it here at Rouse's, just a couple of miles off campus, Burbank and Lee. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number 1, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Opposing Media.
Presented by Rev. Fiber fast internet made in Louisiana.
Earlier this week, Matt Moscona sat down with Mark Heim from AL.com and WNSP in Mobile to take a closer look at the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Mark, always appreciate it, man. How are you?
I'm good.
Vibe check, Mark. How is the collective Alabama universe feeling going into this game Saturday?
Growing more and more confident by the week, but maybe cautiously optimistic might be the best way of putting it. We had some listeners on our show say this has been a fun year because they're on the edge of their seat, which I thought was kind of an interesting take, but it kind of sums up the year, man. It's just different for sure. You just don't know which Alabama's going to show up.
How good is the Alabama defense?
I've been saying really since the Ole Miss game that it had the potential of being championship caliber. They have a way about them. They're very tough up front. They're very disciplined. They've got that middle linebacker, the smart guy, that typical Alabama linebacker that makes all the right calls. I think Deontay Lawson at the wheel has really kind of turned into that guy. They got the stud in Dallas Turner. Kool-Aid McKinstry has been the guy that people kind of fear in the secondary, so they've gone at Terrion Arnold. And he's come to play. He's probably improved more than any guy on that defense. I think they're championship caliber. Now, there are a couple lulls in there where you're like, what the hell is going on, right? But it's almost like it's contagious. They clearly caught it from the offense. But I think all in all, this is probably, and you probably answer this question better than I could, Matt, I think they're as good, if not better, than any defense LSU has faced to this point.
I think that's fair. And I do think that Bama's defense is sort of what with Florida State. Defensively.
Sure.
My question is, do you think Alabama, or how much do you think Alabama will be able to limit this LSU offense, which is averaging 550 yards and 44 points, Mark, in conference games?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's kind of the million-dollar question, right? I think there's going to be a point in this game where LSU just runs all over them, and I think LSU fans are going to sit back and they're going to kind of smile, and I think that's going to happen at some point. I also think, though, if Alabama can get some pressure and actually, and this is going to sound crazy, but keep him in the pocket, I think they could get a couple stops. The question is, obviously, can they get enough of them? And I think that's where the apprehension is on the Alabama side. What was really interesting, Matt, was at the Tennessee game where they got down 20-7. So they interviewed Saban at the end of the first quarter, and you're just expecting that typical Saban blow up. Like it was bad. They were just bad. It wasn't just that Tennessee was good. They just weren't, like Alabama wasn't good at football at that point.
Right.
But he was very cool, very calm, very confident. And then you got that same thing from him at half when they were down. I think it was 27 at half, my mistake. But it was like, what, dude, are we watching the same game? It's like he knew that they were better than Tennessee, and if they just went out and did what they were supposed to do, everything was going to be fine. It was like a complete 180. It was shocking. And as it turns out, they turned him into a prophet. They went out and beat the hell out of him in the second half.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think Nick Saban knows something the rest of us don't.
It's almost like he's the greatest coach ever.
I know.
Mark Heim is with us on Twitter at Mark_Heim, AL.com and WNSP. I did want to ask about the slow start. So Bama's trailed at half of 3 SEC games, but they've also come back to win each of those, obviously.
Yeah.
Is the slow start more of a concern or the second half adjustments more of a credit? I don't know if I'm asking that correctly, but what would you say is the more important reality? Them starting slow being a bad thing or their ability to adjust in the second half?
I think them starting slow is the bigger issue. I think more people point to the adjustments in the second half. But I think the reason they do that, though, is because they started the season so poorly. I mean, the pre-snap penalties. This is a team, Matt, that got a pre-snap penalty on a victory formation this season. How the hell is that even possible? I've never heard of that before. I mean, it was that bad. So we've seen, look, if they get off to a slow start, it can be a very long. This LSU offense is as good as they've seen, right? I don't think there's any doubt. It's the best offense in the country right now. I mean, I'd put Oregon up there from a scheme standpoint, but LSU's just running all over people. And the problem with Alabama is you've seen them run the ball well, Matt. You've seen them throw it really well, but you've never seen them do both in the same game for a consistent amount of time. And so the question is, can this Alabama team, which has, I think, college football playoff potential, can you throw it all in a big pot of gumbo and serve it up at one time? That's the question that we have yet to be able to see. And I think Nick Saban has taken a different approach this year. He sees what we see, a lot of young guys making dumb mistakes and not being a quote-unquote part of the process and playing one play at a time and not looking at the end result, but doing all the things that you need to get that result. And I think you've seen a steady improvement in all those categories. So, yeah, better to hit LSU November 4th than September 4th. That's for sure.
A couple more for you, Mark. You referenced the Alabama defense being championship caliber. Is the Alabama offense championship caliber?
No, not right now. I mean, I think they have the pieces. I think Jalen Milroe is just a tremendous athlete. It's weird, man. He's got a great deep ball, but it's clear he doesn't go through the progressions quite yet. He's young, man. He's a young guy, kind of been thrown in the fire, and you know, Alabama's had this long string of quarterbacks, so they just expect this instant, like, Heisman Trophy candidate, and he's just not there yet. I think he can be, but he doesn't see the checkdowns, or he doesn't go through the progressions quick enough, and he doesn't see the guys that are open. Now, he's a hell of a runner, but he's that guy that wants to be the one that sits in the pocket. I think he probably needs to run a little bit more. He ran a lot early, and then kind of stopped that right as he's trying to develop as a passer. The question of whether or not they had a legit number one receiver was a question for a lot of the season, especially early. Jermaine Burton proved to be that guy. They've got speed with Isaiah Bond and Jermaine Burton, so they have the pieces. But no, to answer your question, they need to get better before we start talking about them in that breath.
I wanted to also ask about the offensive line because I think we've become so accustomed to Bama just pumping first-round draft picks into the league that when you see Bama allowing more sacks than all but 4 teams in college football, it's a little jarring. So what's happened there, Mark?
Yeah, so there was a lot of, like, okay, so you probably remember J.C. Latham at SEC Media Days talking about how, I mean, he had ready to run through a brick wall. And then they come out and they're just not disciplined. There's talk now that they're almost too big and not athletic enough to go against, more athletic front sevens. And they've struggled a lot. And they've gotten better. That's the good news if you're an Alabama fan. They have improved. The question is, can they improve? Have they improved enough to give Jalen Milroe enough time for his receivers to get downfield because he won't hit the short intermediate routes? So, they run the ball fairly well sometimes. It's just real inconsistent. That's the only word I can come up with. And it's so different from what we're seeing from them, which is kind of confusing, quite frankly.
A couple more for you. And Mark Heim's our guest, AL.com, WNSP Radio there in Mobile. Mark, what kind of game are you expecting to see on Saturday?
Well, I think it's got to be a high-scoring track meet, which my guess would be it would have to be advantage LSU. There's just no way to keep this LSU team under 30 or 35, right? I mean, if you keep LSU to 30 or 35, you're going to win that ball game. But I just don't see maybe 35 or 38. Maybe they can handle that. I don't know, man. The way LSU's offense has been running up and down the field, I do think Alabama's going to have a chip on their shoulder because of the way last year played out. Then they're at home, so I give them an advantage there. I think the question is going to be, how does this Alabama team, back to your point about the offense starting, or the team starting slow and adjusting in the second half, how do they react to the adversity? Because this adversity could be a bigger hole or deficit that they potentially could have ever thought of. You know what I mean? Like, It may not be 20-7. Hell, it may be 24-28-7. What are you going to do then?
It's going to be fascinating because I know LSU is going to score, Mark. I mean, LSU's they're
absolutely.
They're going to move the ball. They're going to score. The days of 9-6 are over.
Sure.
Mark, I just don't know that LSU's defense can stop Alabama or anybody from scoring either. So it kind of feels like you're looking at that total at 60, and I'm like, what? 60?
Yeah.
I mean, for one team or for both together? I mean,
right.
You go ahead, please.
And I'm sorry, and I think that's what most people in Alabama are looking at, and so they just automatically assume if it gets into a track meet, Alabama's got a better chance of winning because Alabama's defense is better than LSU's. But, the counter to that is Alabama's defense hasn't seen an offense like this. I think people take a lot of confidence in the idea of shutting down Lane Kiffin and what was considered a pretty good offense at that time. But this is a whole nother level. So, I mean, it's really all about perspective. I'm sure LSU fans, I'm sure your callers, your listeners think that LSU is going to roll up a whole bunch of yards and a whole lot of points. And I think Alabama fans think that they're going to get just enough stops so that Jalen Milroe can put enough points on the board to make this interesting. If it comes down to a field goal, man, I love Alabama special teams. Burnup's the punter. You got the all-time SEC scorer as your place kicker. The only problem I see on Alabama's special team, Matt, is Kool-Aid McKinstry, which is just bizarre. I would have told you were high or on drugs had you said that at the beginning of this year, but he has gotten real skittish on punt returns. He doesn't know when to field it, when not to field it. When he does field it, he drops it. Saban's been asked about it. They continue to have trust in him, but man, at this point, I would go for somebody different back there.
LSU's had a similar problem. We often don't talk much about the third phase, but especially with Will Riker, it's so funny too because I mean historically Nick's always struggled with the kickers. Man, it's been kind of like this ongoing joke, but he's got the best one he's ever had. So it'd be interesting if it does come down to a kick. Mark Heim, AL.com and WNSP Radio there in Mobile. Y'all follow him on Twitter at Mark_Heim. Thanks, man. We appreciate you.
Yeah, Matt. Take care.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast office products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9099.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Talkin' Tigers. Talkin' Tigers.
Presented by TRICARE. TRICARE. For all your gas or diesel vehicles needs, take it to TRICARE.
Talkin' Tigers.
Linebacker Greg Penn.
Those guys are doing a great job. The 3 freshmen, Stamps, Jeremiah, and Toviano, they're doing a good job communicating out there. I mean, we're just trying to make their job as easy as possible. Obviously, they're young guys. We just want them to go out there and play fast and play with confidence. I think they're going to do a great job.
Running back Logan Diggs.
It's going to be 2 good teams, going at it. And you can't get more excited to do that than anything, it's a really great opportunity. So at the end of the day, I'm just grateful to be able to be there and have the opportunity to live out my dream. I grew up watching the Alabama LSU game my whole life, and actually being able to play in it, it's gonna be real fun.
Linebacker Omar Spates.
I think we improved a lot. I think just the way we've been practicing lately, like just detailing stuff. Playing as a unit, communication. I think we definitely grown. And we just looking forward to showcasing it.
Tight end Mason Taylor.
I think their front's the strength of their defense, but then you got people in their secondary that can make plays too, from young guys to experienced guys. So they always just know what they're doing, and they're well coached. And it'll be a challenge for sure. But I think as long as we stay consistent as an offense, like we've been doing, I think we'll be all right.
Linebacker Greg Penn.
Offensively, they gotten better each week. I think they're starting to find the identity of what they want to be. I feel like their running back is a great player. Obviously, their quarterback he's a great athlete. He likes to take vertical shots down the field. So, they obviously cause a big problem for us. I think we need to go out there and just focus and play to our game plan, and I think we'll come out with a great outcome.
Running back Logan Diggs.
Jaden's super consistent. Every game's a big game for him, and he's really good at staying in the middle. We played some good teams this year, and he's been the same throughout the whole year. I haven't seen much change in his preparation and anything that he does. He's still been waking up at 5:30 in the morning and go watch film as he's been doing the whole season. So I feel like he does a really good job of just staying in the middle and, treating every game the same.
Linebacker Omar Spates.
I'm excited, just growing up, just seeing them win all the time and stuff like that. So to be able to go out there and play against them, had an opportunity to showcase my talent against them is just, I'm excited for it.
Tight end Mason Taylor.
For us, it is a must-win game, and I think for the rest of the season it is. But as long as we focus on game to game, we'll be all right.
Linebacker Greg Penn.
He has a great arm. He really launches it downfield on deep play action shots. At times you least expect it too. So everyone just needs to have their eyes right on their key and things like that, and just go out there and do your job. If all 11 is doing their job, we'll do a great job.
Running back Logan Diggs.
Like most teams in SEC, definitely a really good front seven. Really good interior linemen, really good pass rushers. Linebackers are really good now, and they're young at defensive back, but they're really talented on the defense. So we have to trust our preparation, and we have to prepare the right way and be prepared for everything that they're gonna bring to us.
Linebacker Omar Spates.
Keeping our head down and just focusing on our process. Everybody say it all the time, but I think that's just really the key. It's a big game, but don't try to make it bigger than it is. Don't try to do anything out of the ordinary. All we got to do is what we do. Just follow our process, practice the right way, get ready, and build up to the game.
Tight end Mason Taylor.
It's definitely going to be fun. They're going to have a huge atmosphere there, and so what happened last year, it'll be rocking, but at the end of the day, I'm going to just do my job, and if opportunity comes to me, I'm going to try to make the play. And I think as long as I do my job and stick to what I'm supposed to do, opportunities will come my way. So.
Running back Logan Diggs.
The intensity is definitely higher this week. You know, every time Alabama plays LSU, I mean, it doesn't matter how the season went or how the season's going. You know, if the defense always going to come out to play and they're going to show up, and feel like they've been practicing that way, and they've been extremely locked in on all the little details of what they need to study and what's going to be coming at them.
Linebacker Greg Penn.
To win the West, usually you got to go through Alabama, and we know the type of game is going to be Saturday. Just like I said a couple weeks ago about all the games in the SEC West. It's going to be a war. We just got to go out there ready to play. We know what we're walking into.
Talking Tigers. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Keys to the beat.
Presented by Coors Light. Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill.
All right, back here at Rouse's Eagle 98.1 Game Day, we bring in Richard Dixon, who will be with us on the post game tonight. Rich, how you doing?
Doing good, man. There's a lot of good football games going on today.
Yeah. There sure are. You've played in big games like this, a lot of them. What's going through these players' heads right now? What's the ride in like? What's the atmosphere like? What are they feeling right now?
It's an intense feeling, man. It's quiet. There's a lot of people staying focused. You get in a zone. You're thinking about what you've got. You know, your responsibilities, your job. And you're just trying to. It's a very focused day. It's always it's why these kids came here to play. They love these big games. The best part about it is, just the feeling getting into it. it's electric. You feel the fans, you feel the atmosphere, and you're just ready to get hit.
All right, so you got to kind of describe that for me. To walk into a hostile environment like this, I mean, the bus is coming in, the Alabama fans, the entire campus is packed. When you come out for your first warm-ups with the specialists, man, it's just crimson everywhere. What's that like?
Man, the hair sticks up on your arms. It's like, you know, you're going into battle and you're in away territory. It's just, to me, it's the most fun games in the world. I love winning games at home, but going out there when everybody's against you, the pressure's on you. It's what gets you your juices going, gets you excited.
All right, let's talk about keys to the V. What does LSU need to come away with the victory tonight in Tuscaloosa?
Man, tonight is going to be all about preventing the big play. They can't let Jalen Milrose get the deep ball. They got to play over the top, defend the pass. I think if you keep everything in front of you, we can keep ourselves with a shot to win.
You know, that to me is the one stat. I always like to say if I could look at one stat before the game and predict the outcome, and a lot of times it's turnovers, and a lot of times it's rushing yards. Tonight, let me know who has more explosive plays, more plays of 20 yards or more, because I think that's probably what's going to end up making the difference here, Rich. So we know that LSU can make big plays. How best to go about preventing those big plays?
Tonight, in all honesty, I think it's on the safeties. That's where our experience is, where the guys who played the most football. We got a 6-year senior. We got a 5th-year senior. And we got, 11 years of experience of, quality football in the secondary. Those two safeties got to make plays tonight.
So for the corners and how these are inexperienced guys, but they're not guys with no experience, how best to simplify things for them tonight, or what the last 2 weeks has been like in simplifying things for them?
For them, worry about your role. Worry about what you've been taught, what your assignment is, and don't try to make big plays. I mean, you're helping out is where these guys get in trouble. They're used to making plays all over the field as young guys. They got to worry about their role, their responsibility, and let everybody else take care of it.
If you get a call with a College Station area code, it's probably Jimbo Fisher, your old friend. He's going to want to go hunting or fishing or something. He's about to have some free time, I think.
Man, it's a good time to do it. He's got a hell of a ranch down there. I hope he invites me.
Rich, we'll see you on postgame. Thanks a lot.
All right, man.
Of course,
that was good. That was
well,
a good one.
Richard goes. He's been a wonderful resource. We were talking about Jimbo because he was the offensive coordinator for Rich's first 2 years here, and so they go way back. And I'm sorry for Jimbo. It's just listen. This is probably it, and nobody's going to feel sorry for him. I mean, he's going to walk with a really nice severance package. He's not fired yet. I mean, if you're just joining us, but them losing to Ole Miss today, I think is the dagger.
Yeah, I mean, you
may not happen tomorrow, but I don't think he makes it.
5-7 last year. 7-5 is not the follow-up that you want.
No, you're not going to get him. The truckload sale here at Rouse's. Shop early, stock up for the holidays. The weekly ad prices run from Wednesday to Wednesday, so there are twice as many items every Wednesday that are on sale, like your fresh boneless, skinless chicken breast for $1.88 a pound. Your pork spare ribs also for $1.88 a pound. Just some of the items that they've got here on the truckload sale. So you're planning your shopping? Come on Wednesdays. There's twice as much stuff on sale on Wednesdays. You got to plan ahead. So we'll take a break. We come back. We'll check in with the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair. We're going back to Tuscaloosa. We're here at Rouse's Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Inside the stadium. Inside the stadium. Presented by K to Z Window Coverings. K to Z Blinds.com, where style meets functionality, both inside and out.
And we head to Tuscaloosa, the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair. Chris, good afternoon. How are you?
Doing good, Charlie. Yeah, we're just about to roll into T-Town here with the team.
Is there a car dealership or shopping mall or an obscure parking lot somewhere that we stopped in for a pregame stretch today, or were we close enough not to have to do that?
No, there was no stop, no brief excursion. We had loaded up and then straight to Bryant-Denny Stadium.
All right, kind of paint the picture for me, because you're on the road trip, the traveling party. Listen, there's some trips where you go and it's fun and all that. This feels like one of those business trips where everybody's kind of buttoned up.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. You could sense it, arriving yesterday and through last night with some of the team meetings, and they've kind of had that feel all day. You haven't seen a lot of people in and out of the hallways. You haven't seen a lot of people gathering in the lobby. The most people I saw was when everybody was meeting to load up on the bus. They've been it's very much a business trip type feel to this game.
Chris, I know it won't have anything to do with tonight's game, but it's a good time to look back at last year just for one little brief moment here. One of the best games that stadium has ever seen, and I'm sure it was a thrill for you to be able to call the game-winning play. Just your remembrances of that game that LSU won by a point last year.
You know what stands out to me, Charlie, and I think it's going to be key. Again, you can't take any of the points or any of the plays from last year, but what you can take is the confidence. And there are, while a number of new people that will be called upon on the biggest stage, biggest game of their lives tonight for LSU, there are many who were a part of it. And, while the overtime play was incredible, Jaden's run on the first play of scrimmage in overtime, I think really set the heated up really, because they had Alabama on their heels. But the plays and really the drive that stood out to me, and it exuded confidence, was after Bryce Young led Alabama down and retook the lead late in that fourth quarter, and LSU went right back and answered. Just happened to be Mason Taylor again in the back left corner of the end zone. But to me, that was the key moment in the game. You had played well, and then suddenly Alabama, as they tend to do, had a chance to steal one, get a late lead, and LSU answered back. So I think if the Tigers can go in with a calm confidence, albeit on the road, hostile environment, all of that stuff, but I think if they can just tap into that confidence that they had, especially in the second half and down the stretch last season, if some of those guys can remember that and feed off that this year, I think that's a good thing for LSU.
The guy that's got to do it more than any is Daniels, and I'm glad you brought that up. He brings that confidence. Chris, there is so much on his shoulders tonight, and it's not that he can't handle it. He's handled it beautifully so far, but when you think about this game, this is not a game that LSU can probably win 21-17. They're going to have to put some points on the board, and he knows that. And then you add in the added pressure, if he feels it at all, I don't know, of the possibility of a Heisman Trophy, this once-in-a-lifetime accomplishment. I can't imagine what's going through his mind, but I know he's prepped for it. You've been around him a little bit. What do you think is going through Jaden Daniels' mind right now?
I think it's one of the things I've admired about him, and towards the end of last year, one of the things that stood out to me is, like, you can tell this is a West Coast kid. I mean, that's the 5'8" dude. Never too high, never too low. Sometimes you look at him on the sideline, or even after a great play. I mean, he'll give you a fist bump, but he's not overly over the top with it. And I think that's a good thing. And I think will help them tremendously, Charlie, in trying not to have, the moment be too big. The other thing is, Jaden Daniels is going to have to be excellent tonight. But guess what? As you pointed out, he's had to do that basically every week so far this year. So it's not like that's something new. And I think, again, his second year and throughout this season, we have seen him, grow leaps and strides and the confidence he has in the guys around him. And, I think he feels comfortable about going into this battle tonight, going into the Coliseum, if you will. But he likes the guys that are around him and trusts the guys that are around him. So, again, I just have never seen him get too high or too low. And he's had a bunch of highs and a bunch of lows, even in his career here at LSU. So I think that will be his best asset going into this big-time game tonight.
On the other hand, Chris, LSU will put some very young players out there in the secondary tonight that have played some but not a ton of football for LSU and certainly haven't played in a game of this magnitude. I know that this is something that Brian Kelly has talked about during the week, over the 2 weeks, going back into the preseason about the challenges that they would have in the secondary. What did he convey to you this week about the challenge that these young corners have?
Yeah, they're going to be challenged, and he just said, hey, we have trust in these guys. We wouldn't have put them in uniforms. We wouldn't have recruited them here if we didn't think they had talent. I guess if there's a silver lining to the struggles in the secondary this season, the fact that, it's not going to be the first time out. Now, granted, it will be a giant stage against a very good team whose wide receiver core has really improved since week number 2 against Texas. But they have had some experience. So I think they kind of tried to use that as a positive this week in preparing these guys. And I think, Coach Kelly talked about it Thursday. I mean, they can't stay in the same thing. They can't get the same look. They can't, just sit back and try to keep everything in front of them the entire night. They're going to have to take some chances to try to rattle Jalen Milroe a little bit. Because, Alabama's team, as much as they've come along and improved over the last several weeks, big plays is where they get it. It's not the typical Alabama team that can, run you and just fight you at the line of scrimmage and get big chunk yards on the ground. And then when they want to on second and short, go over the top. They've had to rely on big plays. In fact, they're 17th in the country and plays over 40-plus yards. So, that's what they do. And if you can just guard against that and, as he said, complementary football, we need some real pressure put on by the defensive front to take some of the pressure off this young secondary that would be in quite the battle. So, again, I just felt like kind of like Coach Kelly's been. He has confidence in his team's ability to go out and do this. And we'll see what type of different schemes and different looks they give Jalen Milroe, because I think he has been prone, if he gets a little pressure and you don't let him get out of the pocket, you condense that pocket a little bit, make him only see maybe half the field. He'll throw you a ball or two if you're lucky.
Last thing, I know they put on a heck of an LED light show there. How does your sideline reporter, Mr. Rush, handle it when the strobe lights are hitting him right in the face and the music is beating down on him? Does he lose his way down there or what? I get a little worried about him sometimes.
No, I think he probably would tell you, if he's honest, that he loves the atmosphere. Absolutely loves it. Maybe second only to Ole Miss, because he's really, really tied to Paul Hemingway. He loves the atmosphere there.
Chris, you guys have a great call and a safe trip back, and we'll talk to you next week when the Tigers play Florida.
Looking forward to it, Charlie. Thanks.
All right, we're here at Rouse's. They're about ready to kick off the second half in Athens. A 10-10 halftime score between Missouri and Georgia. They're also at the break in Stillwater. Oklahoma State leading Oklahoma 17-14. Full scoreboard is straight ahead. Our LeBear's countdown to kickoff is now 2 hours and 20 minutes. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206
98.1.
The Robinson Brothers Ford Lincoln College Football Scoreboard. Robinson Brothers Ford Lincoln, on air line into the giant American flag.
Opening drive of the second half in Athens, Missouri with the football. They have driven down in a minute and a half inside the 25-yard line. Inside the 20-yard line now of the Georgia Bulldogs, and this is about to get real interesting. Missouri, for whatever reason, has done well in the last 2 years. They have a good team, but Georgia doesn't get rattled quite like they're getting rattled here. They may win the game, but Missouri's given them all they wanted. This is not flukish. This is not a physical mismatch. This could literally go either way. Georgia will probably end up pulling this thing out. Who knows? But what I want to say to you is that Georgia spent the last 2 years just pounding pretty much everybody into oblivion, save a game or two a year. That ain't happening today. Missouri, who LSU beat in Columbia, is going toe-to-toe with the Georgia Bulldogs, and when they are running the football on Georgia, This is going to be fun to watch here.
You're on the road, too.
Yes, on the road. All right, games in progress. Under 5 minutes to go. Army leading Air Force 23-3. 4.5 minutes to go in that one. Zach Larrier, quarterback for Air Force, was just intercepted deep in Army territory. Black Knights have got a chance here to close things out. Air Force was going for the Commander-in-Chief's trophy today, but looks like they are going to come up short. UAB leading Florida Atlantic 35-21 in the third quarter. UTSA leading North Texas 30-13 at the end of 3. Memphis leading South Florida 45-42 late in the third quarter. Early in the fourth quarter, Arkansas State leads UL Lafayette 27-17. At halftime, Florida State leads Pittsburgh 10-7. Jordan Travis threw for 231 yards in the first half, but FSU had a hard time getting points. Field goal game at the break in Pittsburgh. In Stillwater, number 22 Oklahoma State leads number 9 Oklahoma 17-14. Oklahoma missed a field goal late in the first half. Ollie Gordon, who has gone for over 500 yards the last 2 weeks, 16 for Oklahoma State, 16 carries for 59 yards in the first half. So the Sooners at least keeping him somewhat in check, but the Cowboys have the lead. Early third quarter, number 11 Penn State leads Maryland 21-7. Late third quarter, number 13 Louisville beating Virginia Tech 27-3. Just started the second half. East Carolina and number 24 Tulane are tied at 10. Also early in the third quarter, Minnesota leads Illinois 20-14. Early in the third quarter at Wrigley Field. Musso, what's the score?
0-0.
No, I was going to touchdown. I'm so disappointed. It's 7-0.
7 spots.
I was actually hoping that this would be, as far as I know, the first 2-0 game in college football history. I was fully prepared for this to go scoreless for 4 quarters, them to go 2 overtimes without scoring, and it come down to 2-point conversion to see which one of these teams could make 3 yards first.
That would be the most Iowa thing in Northwestern. If there was ever going to happen, it'd be those 2 teams.
Iowa's quarterback, whose name is Deacon Hill, threw the touchdown pass. He has thrown for 34 yards today. They're in the third quarter. Houston leads Baylor 10-0 in the third quarter. UCF leads Cincinnati 14-10 in the third quarter. James Madison leading Georgia State 21-7. All these are third quarter scores. Old Dominion leading Coastal Carolina 14-6. Halftime in Nashville, Auburn leads Vandy 17-7. Also at the half, Southern Miss leads UO Monroe 17-0. Tulsa leads Charlotte 17-10. About 30 seconds to go in the second quarter. Hawaii leads Nevada 17-0. And late in the first quarter, Georgia Southern leads Texas State by a score of 10-7. Earlier finals today. Number 18 Utah beat Arizona State 55-3. Bryson Barnes throwing for 4 touchdowns for Utah. Number 1 Ohio State trailed Rutgers at the half, but won 35-16 in Piscataway. Kyle McCord threw 3 touchdown passes. In overtime, number 7 Texas escaped with a 33-30 win over number 23 Kansas State. Kansas State went for it in overtime, down 3, went for the win on goal to go from the 4-yard line and threw incomplete. Number 10 Ole Miss beat Texas A&M 38-35. A 47-yard field goal for Texas A&M was online but short as the game ended. Quinshon Junkins ran for 3 touchdowns today, and Jackson Dart threw for 387 and 2 scores. Clemson beats number 15 Notre Dame 31-23. They picked Sam Hartman twice and ran one of them back for a score. Number 17 Tennessee beat UConn 59-3. Arkansas gets their first win in SEC play. They beat Florida 39-36 in overtime. Rocket Sanders back for the first time in a month. He ran for 103 yards for the Hogs. Indiana beat Wisconsin 20-14, and Michigan State beat Nebraska 20-17. None of that did anything to absolve the logjam in the Big Ten West. South Carolina beat Jacksonville State 38-28. North Carolina beat Campbell 59-7, and Sam Houston beat Kennesaw State 24-21. Georgia Tech beat Virginia 45-17, and Temple beat Navy 32-18. Games coming up, kicking off right now. Cal at number 6 Oregon. At 5 o'clock, it's La Tech and Liberty. Middle Tennessee, New Mexico State. Marshall at App State. UNLV at New Mexico. 6 o'clock kickoff in Ames, Iowa. Number 21 Kansas, coming off the big win against Oklahoma, faces the Cyclones. Also at 6, BYU is at West Virginia. Utah State is at San Diego State. 6:30 kick on NBC. Purdue is at number 3 Michigan, where the sign stealer has resigned. That story is far, far from over.
That story is hilarious.
In L.A. Tonight, number 5 Washington and number 20 USC at 6:30 kickoff. Also 6:30 kickoff in Starkville, Kentucky and Mississippi State. SMU is at Rice. 7 o'clock kickoff from Miami at NC State. We're watching Florida State struggle with Pitt today. I just looked. Who do they play next week? Play Miami. Miami's not as good as they used to be, but that game still got some juice. We saw Florida State. Are they looking ahead, or are they just getting beat? I don't know. But it's something to think about if you're looking at Miami and NC State. Canes are a 6-point road choice. UTEP hosts Western Kentucky. That's an 8 o'clock kick at the Sun Bowl. Also an 8 o'clock kick for Stanford at Washington State. 9 o'clock kickoff, number 16 Oregon State at Colorado. And Boise State at Fresno State. And the late game in Tucson, number 19 UCLA at Arizona. Wildcats trying to get bowl eligible. They are 5-3. That is your college football scoreboard. Missouri kick a field goal?
They did kick a field goal.
Missouri has the lead, 13-10, 4 minutes into the second half. We'll take a break, come back and wrap things up. From Rouse's Burbank and Lee, this is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Life in Louisiana is like a run-on sentence. A poem that doesn't rhyme. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
98.1.
minutes left here. We remind you about the truckload sale here at Rouse's. Get all your shopping done now. Double coupons on Wednesdays here at Rouse's. Musso, your final thoughts on LSU and Alabama?
LSU can absolutely win this game. They're going to score points. We know that. It's the same thing everyone's going to say. Can they get enough stops? And, Hanny, I will tell you the one thing I cannot get out of my head is us sitting here a couple weeks ago watching the Alabama-Tennessee game and CBS throwing up that graphic about Nick Saban's teams in revenge spots, and I think it was something like 20-2. Then they won that game. It's 21-2. The spot favors them so much with it being at home, and I unfortunately think that they do squeak one out.
You know, I get that the revenge spot, but I don't think it ever has anything to do with revenge. I really don't. I think it's the law of averages that Alabama – most of the time that they're on the field, 90% of the time that they're on the field with somebody else when Nick Saban's been there, they have the more talented team.
Yeah, sure.
And if you play enough games with the more talented team, you're just not going to lose 2 in a row all that often. The difference here is that LSU it comes as close as anybody to Alabama when you match talent for talent. Now, I don't think either one of these rosters is as good as they were in the 11 season or the 19 season, but they're 2 of the better rosters in college football this year. And you have the quarterback that's going great guns. I wonder if Nick Saban may turn Jalen Milroe loose in the run game tonight. They have stifled that over the last month. He's been throwing the football more. He's been throwing the ball effectively. But I wonder if this might be the time of, I don't want to say he's saving anything, but if he feels like that's the best way for him to win the game is to unleash Milroe in the run game so that they can keep Daniels and LSU off the field as much as possible. Everybody seemingly has picked a game that will end up in the high 30s or the 40s. And that's the chalk. That's what will probably happen. But hold on to the idea that when Alabama played Ole Miss, they also wanted to slow the game down a little bit, and they ran it twice as many times as they threw it, and they held a very explosive Ole Miss offense to 10 points. I'm not saying it's that exact game plan, but it's just something like that to where, listen, as good as Nick Saban is as a defensive coach, he doesn't want to look at Jaden Daniels any more than he has to. The guy beat him here last year, and he knows what he's capable of doing. So they can shorten things just a little bit. One possession might be the whole difference in this game. Like I said earlier, the stat I'd like to see, explosive plays. You tell me who has more plays over 20 yards in this game, and that's probably going to be the difference. Thanks to the folks here at Rouse's for being our host, as they are every week. We'll be back 90 minutes after the end of LSU and Alabama from our studios downtown. Along with Richard Dixon, we'll be taking your phone calls. From all of us here at Rouse's, everybody back at the flagship, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. We send you to Hunt Palmer and the guys at the network. This has been Eagle 98.1 Game Day.